Alright guys, so the video has started, and let's get going with so there are some comments there. Our machine is repaired down, I might not I understand. So guys, those whose machines are not up to date, you can take screenshots of my screen. Those whose machines are not up to date, and those whose machines are up to date, they can take the screenshots of their screen, right? So again, so as in take screenshots of my screen with your name in the background. So whoever is taking screenshots of my screen, suppose your machines are not working, so do put your name somewhere in that screenshot. So it has to be showing there when you're taking the screenshot of my screen. So those whose machines are not working, and do show me an error of in that document that you upload today, do show the error screen that you're facing, the error that you're facing, and then just follow with my screen. So if your machine is not working, it must be giving some kind of error, right? So take a screenshot of your errors of your machine, and then make sure that you take screenshot of my screen, but also put your name in every screenshot. Okay, so we were talking about Veeam before, and we tried to install that, but yes, also I got a machine that is not, like a really good, really up-to-date or advanced kind of machine here, but I'm trying to implement all this still. And well, I have 24 GB RAM, but its underlying disk is actually not SSD, I think, and that's really suppressing all the performance that I wanted to show. Okay, so I have started my machines like 10-15 minutes ago, so I'll just log in from my machines, and what I plan to do today is to show you the Veeam, and then I would want to go for the vSAN, and that would be very critical. I also wanted to show how the 7.0, the latest version of vCenter, how to deploy that and how does it look like from inside. So a lot of stuff there that needs to be done with limitations of the for our machines there. So I only see 20 GB memory taken for this machine where I have vCenter. So yes guys, the main thing is that you need to at least plan to have a good hardware. So 24 32 GB RAM. Boxing Day is coming, so get your gloves ready, boxing gloves. So the thing is that you can at least try or plan to have a better hardware, and I have given that address of the guy as well who's selling refurbished powerful machines, and many of my students have purchased those machines and are doing big labs there. Okay, so the second machine is starting. What was going on in last class was Veeam, and thing is that I was trying to get this up and running. So if I go for here, so the plan here is that we had already deployed Veeam there, and the Veeam software, which is a third-party backup software, backup and replication software. So once that was deployed, then that is deployed, then we need to enter that software. So a few of the students here were able to enter the Veeam software. In fact, those who were able to enter, you could have TeamViewer installed or AnyDesk application installed there, so I could remotely connect to your machine and then show you the whole process of backup and restore, right? So the plan was that we're going to install the Veeam backup software on this machine, and then we just need to connect Veeam to the vCenter, and then once it is connected, then through the Veeam console, we needed to take a backup of our virtual machine, and that virtual machine backup, once taken, we were supposed to delete that virtual machine and then restore it from the backup. So the whole plan was this. So now last class we were able to install Veeam, and now I need to connect to Veeam, but my request is that those students who were able to connect will be those if they can have TeamViewer, and I can remotely connect to their machine and I could show you the rest of the steps. Then we need to go to a very critical lab, which is vSAN. So for the job market search, you would really need to know what is vSAN, how to implement that. Okay, so those who are missing the class today, just let them know that if you're not uploading anything, then no marks for you, if marks is of any importance. So I do see that many are not here. So well, if marks are not important, then otherwise let them know that attendance is must, and they need to upload the screenshots, whether my screenshots or their screenshots, right? So okay, otherwise 0 or 0, right? Okay, so I'm just gonna go back and check out the Veeam backup here, and I'll just click that updates, and so I'm on the second machine here, and if I minimize that, so there's that Veeam backup, and I'll press yes here. So it shows this software now. At this software, when it tries to connect, also there's suppose an issue comes there as well. Now I'm going to check my physical desktop memory here. So it's 20 GB out of 23.9 or 24. So still have some amount of memory. I will also go for E6i02 and shut it down because I need at least one hypervisor, but not both hypervisors for this lab, and just to have some more memory available overall on this physical desktop. So I'll just try to go ahead. Okay, so E6i2 is down, right? I shut it down, and I'll just then try to go back to the server 2, and also I'll check the physical desktop memory. So I have some more memory, 18 GB out of 24 GB, so that might be a relief. So for this particular lab, we don't need E6i2 for now. I'm gonna click connect here, and hoping with fingers crossed that it should connect to its console. From there I need to, otherwise I would request that some if anyone, there were 3 or 4 students whose Veeam was configured and they were able to log in, so I need to connect if you like to use my machine. Thank you, Saif, for offering that. So I'm just trying to connect here. If it doesn't, then I will then request and would need your TeamViewer code. So sometimes it's live demonstration, so obviously anytime anything could happen, any kind of, oh, it's working. I'm about to cry now in happiness. It should be SSD drive and everything. Okay, so then it asks for further update, there was an update of Veeam software as well, and last time I was trying to update that, it was giving me error here, which is never used to give, but it was. So this one, okay, seriously, the service cannot be started either because it is disabled or because it has no enabled devices. Okay, so yeah, it is trying its best not to work. I'll click finish, but even if it finishes, let me just try to go ahead and check it out. I just simply click finish, although it was not working, right? So I will just try to check if what's the next step. Suppose we are inside the Veeam backup and replication console here. But it is not connected to our vCenter yet. So the next step would be to connect to the vCenter. How do we connect to the vCenter? I'm going to check that without that successful update. Without that update, can I connect still or not? So I'm just going to check that, and then I'll request that I'll connect to Safe's machine then. So VMware vSphere, I'm just going to right click here, and I need to connect this Veeam to the vCenter. So I'm going to go for add server, and it says that, hey, what is the machine whose name is there? Okay. So, okay. Yeah. I'm going to give the IP of this machine where the Veeam is installed. Where is Veeam installed? On the second server. Veeam is installed on the second server here. So 192.168.200.2. I'm going to click next, and then it asks that, okay, Veeam, what is installed on second server? vCenter. So Veeam is installed, yes, but it is asking, what is it asking? It is asking for a VMware resource. Either we can connect to the vCenter or we can connect to any hypervisor. So we need to give the IP of either a vCenter or a hypervisor. We're just going to go for the vCenter. So that's the IP I put where the vCenter is. It is in second machine. Second thing is, I'm going to click next. Then it's asking for the credentials of the vCenter, right? So I'm going to then click the add button here to add the credentials of the vCenter. Once I click the add button, so I'm just going to start typing administrator at vSphere.local. So that's the username. Well, we've been putting that, right? Small ABC, capital ABC, shift 123 without shift 123, right? So if we go ahead, wow, Sylvester is connecting for the 7th time. Okay. Okay, Sylvester, you're connecting for the 7th time. Yeah.
Amir, sorry. So should be the username should be administrator, vSphere local.
Yeah.
Exactly. We should put same.
That's the credentials of the vCenter. Yes, administrator at vSphere.local, and the password,
the password is
of the
vCenter.
Yeah, see this?
Okay.
This is the password. Yeah. Small ABC, capital ABC, shift 123 without shift 123. Okay, so where Veeam as a third-party software wants to connect to the vCenter, and then through the vCenter it will check all the how many data centers we've created, how many hypervisors we have added, and how many virtual machines we have. Basically, we're going to take the backup of our virtual machine, so we'll be able to see that through vCenter, all the virtual machines in the environment. So I'm going to press O and K, and then I'm going to click next. Now here, normally it okay, so it says security warning, an untrusted certificate is installed. This is pretty normal when you're connecting to the vCenter. Yes, this does come. So I'm going to click connect. Saving server to configuration, and well, seems like it's connected. Yay, it's connected. Okay guys, so this is our first screenshot. Now those who are not on their machines on this page and are having some issues, please take the screenshot of my screen, but also put your name somewhere in that screenshot. So again, those who are there already in their machines, take their machines screenshot. Those who are not there because of some issue, please take screenshot of my screen and put your name in your screenshot. If your name is not there in the screenshot, then there will be no marks. Your name has to be somewhere in the screenshot, and please take my screenshot, right? If you're not there and you're unable to be there or it's taking too late. Oh, so I'm gonna take a sample screenshot here, and I'll put it on. So continuing with Veeam. So screenshot 1 is Veeam connected to vCenter, right? So that's pretty crucial. Without that, we can't even go ahead. So Veeam connected to vCenter. I'm just gonna take a screenshot here. Then I'll put screenshot 1 Veeam connected to vCenter. Okay, so that's a screenshot 1, and you can tell others who are not here because their machines are not working that they must be here and take the screenshot of my screen, but put their name. But also put a screenshot of the error you're getting in your lab as a proof. That's why you're taking the screenshot of my screen, because whatever error is coming in your machine. So take a screenshot of that error as well. But what I would press you to do is to understand it for the job market, because the job market is tough. They really ask a lot of in-depth questions. So repeat all those labs as much as possible. Okay, so here, once the screenshot is taken, I'm just going to go back here to this summary. Veeam is connected to the vCenter, and this is a screenshot I asked you to take. Once you have taken the screenshot, I'm going to click Finito, right? So once I click finish, so vCenter is added to the console of the third-party backup software, backup and replication software called Veeam. So now Veeam can see all the virtual machines through the vCenter. So if I expand that IP, which is the IP of a machine where the vCenter is living, right? So I see that, oh, the two data centers that we created are showing there. That's good. If we go down to Tor DC and expand that, you see Tor cluster that we created. So that's good. I have the ASIC size, not server 2. Says not server 2. No, server 2 is not. If you have the ASIC size, but you don't have the data center, you mean, safe? The two data centers, and this is not showing 202. If you see the data centers and you see the two hypervisors, and especially if you click the Tor cluster, and if you see this, you're good. So Veeam needs to.
Well, I have sorry, I have the your E6i1, 2, and inside each the virtual machines, but I don't see the data center. Maybe on a wrong view or something. I'm gonna try to add it again.
Well, maybe you didn't add the vCenter. You may have added the cluster directly, or you may have added the data center directly, not the vCenter.
Yeah, I'll try again.
But if you see the virtual machines of both hypervisors, then you're still okay. But you can come this way as well. You went the other way, which is also okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay guys, so I do see virtual machines that are inside my vCenter, and I want to take a backup of those virtual machines. The first one, I can see that even the size is big. Why? Because we actually installed an operating system in the first machine. But all of the machines, the size is very small because those were empty machines without an operating system. So I'm going to go for the first machine and take a backup of that, and I'm going to go for the other machines as well and take a backup. You take a backup of an empty machine or you take a backup of an operating system machine, the backup still works fine. It's just that it's going to take longer time for the machine that has an operating system to take a backup of that, and it's going to take very less time for a machine that does not have an operating system. So the backup procedure itself is okay. It's going to work. So I'm going to take a right click here. I'm going to put a right click on the machine that actually has an operating system inside it. In our production environment, obviously you will have an operating system. There will be no empty machines there, and why would you want to take a backup of an empty machine? But just to learn the process of backup, you can take a backup of an empty machine here in the training environment, or take a backup of a machine with an operating system. The process of backup is exactly the same. It doesn't change with or without an operating system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go for a quick backup, and for that I'm just going to select the first option, which is vmzip to C backup. Now it's just saying that, hey, I'm going to take a backup of this machine here in the local C drive, and now we did not create a folder inside the C drive of server 2 here by the name of backup. We did not create a folder called backup, right? But if we select this option, it's going to go to C drive. It's going to create a folder called backup on our behalf, and then it's going to start taking backup of this virtual machine. So I'm going to click that option now, and it's going to do all that for us. So once I click that, so this whole window appears here where there's job progress written here, and I'm going to click show details here. Show details, and oh, okay, so it says fail right away, could not perform the threshold backup due to space. Oh, I ran out of space? No kidding. How is that possible? Well, it is possible, but how is that possible? So if I go to this PC, oh, it has enough space. I think I don't have space outside in my physical desktop. Well, I'm going to take a backup of my empty machine as well, because the procedure of backup, 37 GB, that's a lot of space. So 37 GB is a lot actually. What's going on? Oh. So I'll just go ahead and I'll take a backup of an empty machine instead of this, because it says due to space info retrievement failure, that all the new things are happening to this, which never happened in the previous labs. So I'm going to close this, and I'll go for another machine which is actually empty. I'm going to right click and do the same thing, vmzip to C /backup, and let's see if it goes ahead. So it does tell you the details in the action area. Status is pending, action is this. Or really, why would this fail? Waiting for the next task. All VMs have been queued. Oh, actually, you know what? It's about the information of copy to clipboard, or I'll double click that. Oh, copy to clipboard. So anyone else who's trying to, are you able to hear me? Are you able to hear me? Are you able to hear me? resuming now, and there's a try again here. What's this? Okay, so whole my internet was down for a minute, and then it came back. Yay! So I'll just continue now, and okay. So what we were doing was, yeah, it's recording now. I'll just go back to the machine here, and well, it's just giving those errors here for backup, but anyone else trying and you are getting or not getting the error, so you can just check it out and confirm with me as well, because this is the exact way you would have gone ahead and taken the backup as well. And as far as my disk spaces are concerned, I have enough disk space. 37 GB is a lot of space to do a lot of tasks, and so anyone from, yeah.
So Amir, one question.
Yeah.
So why your machine VM1 is so big? It's 40 giga. Why mine is just 1.3 megabyte?
Oh yeah.
And I have no any problem, so I
Oh.
don't know.
Well, I think my machine is because I may have by mistake selected thick provision, thick, right? So
Okay.
that's why it would have been. And second thing, why I'm getting an error, guys, it could be that I'm trying to take a backup of those machines which are on hypervisor 2, and hypervisor 2 is down for me, right? Because I wanted to take some, you know, to free up some RAM. So I'm just going to turn on the hypervisor 2, and hopefully anyone else who's taking the backup, you are able to successfully take a backup. I just wanted to show you that how to take a backup and then restore as well, right? Okay, so as Sham says, yes, he's able to take successfully the backup. And anyone else was able to take a successful backup? I'm starting my ESXi2, and maybe those machines belong to, or I can just create another quick machine on ESXi1. For that, I'm just gonna connect to my vCenter now. So it's been long enough to get the vCenter to log in. Oh man, you know, the good news is this Adobe Flash Player is gone in 7.0 version, which I will show you. And allow, I'll just go ahead, reload, and then go for administrator. I'll just go ahead and quickly log in from my vCenter. Why? Because I want to show, I will just try to check that which machines are on ESXi1. Although ESXi2 is now nearly up as well. Okay, so yep, okay, we're good. So ESXi2 is also up and running, and so I can try with ESXi with those machines. Maybe they were on ESXi2. I'm not able to see that. Oh, sorry. It's clearly showing the host here all the time. It was showing there. I'll go for another machine here and go for C backup and check it out, because this is the way to take a backup, and then I can also show you. But why are they? Well, like obviously, wait for backup infrastructure resource availability. I can also try one more new machine here because of this strange backup that I'm seeing. All the strange errors are coming here due to space info retrievement fail. It cannot retrieve a space info. Really? Are you kidding me? Oh man, you know, guys, for that particular update that did not run, so it could be because of that. In that case, I could remotely connect to any one of yours machine and show it here so everyone can see what's going on. So can you give me your you know, that team viewer ID, anyone? And I could remotely connect to your machine, and then I could just show you if your machines are exactly on this place. on this state. So say if you're seeing that, you can, or anyone else who can offer, because I think that update did not install for me fully, so that's why I'm just gonna close this, and I'll just okay. So John has offered. Thank you. Guys, one more thing. I'll just try once more here, just to start and connect, and then because everything is connected now, I just need to try to take a backup once more after closing and then opening it again. So it's gonna open, and so guys, Cham has shared his ID. So now it's a party. Let's everyone connect to his ID. Oh, just kidding. No, Cham, thank you very much for this. I'm just joking. Okay, so refresh and connecting. If we provision any VM, the backup will be done automatically. Yes, desk channel. Backup will be done automatically. Oh, okay. So if you also had that error while installing the update, okay, then I'm gonna apply this update again. This update is giving error. This means that there may be more updates that may be needed, and those updates could be. It was working till the last course, and now 2-3 new errors have emerged. The service cannot be started. Okay, while it is started with at Sham, and the second thing is, yeah, I could have gone for that Windows 2016 update as well. So I'm gonna go for Team Viewer here, and go for the PC of Acham. So so you would still see, and it will get recorded that how to take a backup and retrieve. Guys, try to install all the updates of Windows there, and then normally what happens is when the error comes, we need to just type the whole error on Google, and we have to check that what are the solutions there. Because anytime any kind of error could just pop up. Okay, to set up unattended access, TeamViewer needs to be installed first. Really? So I have tried to start this. I'll try to free up some RAM again by asking this guy to shut down again, server 2, E6i2. So, what? Okay, I need to put it here. Insert partner ID. Okay, here also I can put, I think. So 472.317, 472.317, 153. Connect. Okay. 72 small s 7nj 7nj. Alright, thank you Acham for letting me connect, and you can see Acham's machine here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and right click here. I think you may have gone for that machine, so I'm just gonna go for VM04 here. Oh, okay, there you go. So Acham is showing those machines. That backup here as well. So normally, guys, inside the C drive, you will see that backup. Now, can I actually click that and right click? Oh yeah, I can. So what I can do is which machine's backup it is, first of all, right? So it's VM01's backup. It shows here, and then the date 14/12/2020, right? And then 6:28 and 15 seconds. So 1800 hours is 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. and 28. Okay, anyway, so we understand that this is the VM01 machine that was taken as a backup, and we understand that also that how did we do that? We just clicked this and it just went for the backup. The second thing is that we need to do is, because it's VM01, so now backup is successful, but can we also restore it, right? So if we go for, oh, that's UI. If we go for the other one, oh, that's I'll go again. vSphere client. That's vSphere client, and as usual it's asking for this. We have internet connection here, so we're just gonna go click that not secure, go for allow block. So I'm going there. I'm going there to the vCenter to delete that machine. Why? So we had a backup, right? So how about we, hopefully you've used the password, that class password. Oh, yikes. Okay, yeah, you can put that password there. Thank you. So why are we going there? We want to delete that VM01. So we could check that does the restore process actually work or not, right? So that's why we can go there and simply delete that machine after taking a successful backup in the C drive. The backup has to be successful. While it is loading, I'm going to go back to that screen here, and there's a history written there in Veeam backup, right? If I click that history, it just shows that VM01 status was successful, right? The backup status was jobs. So history, jobs, and then job name is this, VM01 backup was taken, and status is successful at this time. Start time was this, end time was this. So in the history you can see that it was successful or not. If I go up there, so there it is just showing again. I'm going to minimize this and well, it's logging in. I can just try to make screen a little more. So once that screen is loaded, so there's that VM01 here, right? We already took a backup of that, so we're kind of okay. Let me check the size of that backup as well here, and it is oh, it's just 30 MB. So this was not like having an operating system, or did the backup really complete? Well, it was saying successful in the history, so yes, it did complete. So this means it doesn't have a what? Operating system. So which is okay. I'm going to right click here and delete, because if it had an operating system it would have taken just longer time and bigger size, but the procedure of backing up is the same. So I right clicked here, and then what I do in vCenter, you cannot do that deleting inside the Veeam console. Why? Because that's just to take backup, right? You have to come back to the vCenter to right click and delete from disk, right? So once we delete from disk here and press yes, then it is gone now, and we need to retrieve it from the backup. Oh, where am I? Okay, so I'm gonna go there and here. So now how to restore that machine that we deleted? It's showing here, but if I right click and refresh here, F5, I right clicked on the infrastructure and refreshed, then I go back here. Now VM0 is not there because we deleted it from vCenter, and this was synchronized here. That information was synchronized here as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to go for restore. How? So there's a restore.
Sorry.
Yeah.
How I can get out out from the history? I start. How? No, in the Veeam backup
Oh yeah, this one.
replacement. Yeah, I am there, but how you get back to that?
Oh,
So I am there.
Yeah, here.
That one? Okay, sorry.
No problem. So virtual machines here, and once that is refreshed, now we need to actually take the restore, right? So how do we take the restore? I'm going to click on this Vsphere, right? Now I don't see a restore option coming here, so I'm going to go way up again, infrastructure, or I'll go down here and okay, I'll keep going down here. Seriously, the restore is supposed to, oh, I'll click the home button, sorry. So what did I do? I click VMware vSphere, it took to the server, but I need to select what? Home button. Why? Because the restore is here. So I just need the restore option, and it's in the home button. So I'm going to click that restore now, because I have a backup already. Okay, so I'm just going to click the restore, and now it is asking where is the backup of the virtual machine. So we know it's in the C drive, in the backup folder. So I'm going to click browse, right? I'm going to go there, select that backup, double click it, and then it's going to start the restore process now. So I'm going to click browse, and then I'm going to go to the C drive of this machine where the backup is. Once I go to the C drive, there's the backup folder here, right? So the backup folder is there. I'm going to double click that. There's only one backup there for now. And since I'm about to restore, so I'm just going to double click that, or click and select, or click and open this backup. So double click and it appears here. You can see the extension here is .vbk. VBK. So Xian says here, is the backup a snapshot? No. So Xian, the backup is the backup of the full machine and the data. Snapshot is a point in time. We can say configurational information is saved there. Suppose you configured the vCenter with 3 or 4 windows there, so it's going to take a snapshot of that when you want to go back to the snapshot. So it will go to that configurational state, but the backup is the full backup of. So what's the difference? Snapshot is that if you want to go back, it's going to go back to that configurational state. Suppose you didn't have Veeam backup installed. Suppose this software was not installed when you took the last snapshot. Now you want to go back to that snapshot. Once you go back to the snapshot, Veeam software will not be there, right? While from the backup, so it simply changes the whole state in snapshot. While in backup, you can retrieve only one file. Maybe it's 2 years back you took a backup, so you can retrieve even one file from there, and without going back, taking back the whole configuration of that operating system 2 years back. So only snapshot. Suppose you have a 2 years back snapshot, you select that, it's going to take you to that configuration which was there 2 years back. While in backup, you don't have to change the machine state, and it's going to remain the same, but you can still retrieve. So backup is more detailed, and each and every file can be also restored, while for snapshot is for the whole configuration state that you can freeze, and then you can go back. You have to lose the current configuration state. It will not be there. Suppose you had Veeam backup here and vCenter. When you go back to, suppose 2 years back snapshot, so Veeam backup was not there, so it's going to take you to that configurational state. So there's a big difference between backup. So backup is not a so clone is still another different. Clone is a full copy of whenever time you have taken that snapshot. Normally we don't take clone, don't make clone of a machine for disaster recovery purposes. Clone is to just simply deploy virtual machines in the new network, right? Snapshot and backup are for disaster recovery. You want to go back to that state where the virtual machine was working. Now suppose all the software is messed up and nothing is opening. You want to go back to that state where it was working fine. All software were opening. So you go for snapshot. So snapshot saves all the configuration of the machine, and it takes you back to the whole configuration there, while backup is you can retrieve even one single file there. It just takes a backup of each and every file and folder there without going back to that state of the machine. So there's a very big difference, and clone is totally different. It has nothing to do with disaster recovery. It is to deploy virtual machines, although some people do clone the machines too. So if the one machine cannot work, then the clone will work. So yes, it can be, you can clone it and you can save it somewhere else. Then it's a disaster recovery as well. Otherwise, normally we deploy from templates, we create thousands of clones or hundreds of similar configuration virtual machines. So disaster recovery tools are snapshot and backup, but they have big difference between each other. So okay guys, here when we restore, is there any option for auto snap? Any option for auto snap? Okay, you mean that snapshot automatically taking a snapshot? Well, if the application supports it, yes, it can automatically take a snapshot every 1 hour, every 2 hours. Some backup applications do support that too. Some of the replication software also support automatic snapshot every 1 hour. So yes, Veeam also has that, but the Veeam's enterprise version has that option. But this is the free edition we are using. It doesn't have advanced features. So, but majority of the backup solutions always have automatic hourly snapshot, half-hour snapshot, every 2 hour take a snapshot, every 24 hours take a snapshot. Yes, there are options with all the backup software solutions. Okay, so Sylvester says, do we have an option to schedule snapshots in vSphere client itself? Schedule snapshot in vSphere client. Normally, snapshots can be taken manually. So it depends on the option. Suppose I go to the virtual machine here and right click here. Um, so, uh, well, normally you can back it up. There are snapshots here. Take snapshot, revert to latest snapshot, manage snapshots, consolidate snapshots, delete all snapshots. So you have to go for third-party software normally to schedule snapshots as well. This is kind of a straightforward basic scenario there. But if I go for, suppose, manage snapshots here, right? So maybe newer versions may offer that, that you can actually schedule a snapshot as well. But these ones are really basic one that you can manually take a snapshot and then, but you have to just install some add-ons there or third-party appliances that can help you. You know that automatic or scheduling snapshot can be also in Veeam, but the enterprise edition. So whichever third-party software you go for backup and replication, they will all support scheduling of snapshot as well. Yep. Okay, so semester says, and we can choose consolidate snapshots to restore to previous. Yes, exactly. You can just consolidate snapshots to go back to that state where suppose it was working fine and you took a snapshot. All right, so let's go ahead and so restore process started here, and the backup file extension is .vbk. Now we need to select this machine. Suppose there were multiple machines showing here, so you would have to actually select that which one you want to restore, right? So I selected this one, that's the only one here, and I'm going to click the restore button, but it's going to ask you more options there. I'm just going to make it up here. I'm going to click that restore here, and it's going to ask you all this. Restore to Azure. So this means you want this to be restored to Microsoft Azure. That is the cloud infrastructure as a service. And then there is entire VM including registration. So you want to restore the entire VM, or you want to restore it to the cloud, Microsoft Azure, or you just want to restore the virtual disks, or just restore the VMware files, right? VMDK is just virtual disk file, and VMX is that configuration file. Guest files of Microsoft Windows or guest files inside operating system, you just want to restore that. So we want to actually restore the entire VM. So I'm just going to click that entire VM here. And now it's going to pop up with some more options. So it takes us here. We're going to have to select the machine again here and click next. And now it's saying restore to the original location. So suppose the original location was E6I1 and the data store was on data store 1 LON 1. So it would just exactly restore it there. Or you want to restore it to a different location. So we're going to go for original location. And then restore VM tags. If you have given any tags there, that is just to put some extra information for the virtual machine. And quick rollback, restore changed blocks only. Suppose you want some of the information to be restored and not all, so it even goes faster than. But we want to retrieve the whole virtual machine, not some portion of it. I'm going to click next. Now the restore reason, okay, to save my job, and that's the reason. Okay, no, it could be some other reason, right? So maybe sales department requested it, or somebody's in deep trouble and wants to save his or her job. anything. Okay, anyway, so I'm going to click that next. And then this is the final summary. So we're restoring now. So I'm just going to click finito. So just like the backup process, well, normally the backup process is always all green. For me, it was all not green. So registering restored VM on host 200.3. So that's E6i1. So I think our Windows machine is not fully patched with Windows updates itself. So that would be a good idea to patch it and then try all this software again. Preparing using proxy. Okay. So, well, that's the restore process, and we just need to check back if the virtual machine is back or not. So once the process is finished. So restore completed successfully. I'm going to click close here, right? Restore completed successfully. I'm going to click close, and then I'm going to go to the vCenter here, and so VM01 is back. Okay, so well, this was the virtual machine that was missing, and it is back. Oh no, back. So that's good. And
So,
yeah.
Amir,
Yeah.
sorry, when we want to delete the virtual machine one, so we need to turn it off, or we can just delete it if it is for turn it on also?
Yeah, if it is powered on, then also you can. So right click here and delete from disk. Yeah.
Okay.
So even if it is powered on, it's gonna delete. Alright, so guys, this is backup and restore. Normally that's what you're going to be involved in implementing. So we went through installation of Veeam, then we connected the Veeam to the vCenter, and then we took a backup of one virtual machine there, and then we deleted that virtual machine after taking a backup of that, and then we restored it again, and it's back and it's showing here. So overall, that was the lab that I wanted to show for Veeam, and we have just a few million more topics. So critical ones we're going for. So the next one would be the vSAN. That is really important. So thank you, Ed Sham, for letting me work on your machine. I'll be going back to my machine to show you the whole vSAN concept and configuration. So I'm just going to close that team viewer now. You deserve, Sham, you deserve +10. That's the temperature. Okay, not the marks. Okay, well, anyway, so thank you for that, and I'll just go back to staring at this error. Oh, okay, now I'm going to close that, and I'll close this one as well. So, guys, if there are any questions for this Veeam, you can let me know, but it was pretty straightforward. You take a backup, you delete the machine, you restore it, and you make sure that it was restored. So now the next topic would be really a mucho critical topic, and yeah. So Safe says vMware workaround says if you can't back up a VM, just vMotion it to another data center and it should work. Oh, okay. So maybe when we vMotion it, then we can take a backup from another hypervisor. Maybe it means that. Well, yeah, we can try that. But
no, actually, I tried it already. It did, because I had the error with the backup, and I did that and it worked. So I don't know if it was lucky or it worked. I don't know.
Oh, that's good. Hey, thank you for giving me this idea, and I'll go ahead and try this. Oh man, it's gonna start. While it's starting and it's gonna fully start, we can just talk about the next topic as well, because the more topics you understand, the better you will be in the interview as well. So always, keep in mind that you will be asked about these critical topics in the interview, and you need to be very, very, very knowledgeable about those, right? So, what is vSAN? vSAN topics needs to be started. Oh yeah, vSAN. Okay. So it's a mucho importante topic. Now this topic involves machines that everyone will be able to do that. I'm just kidding. Nobody will be able to. Well, those who have 24 GB or 32 GB RAM only, those will be able to do this. So the rest can take the screenshots of my screen and putting their name on the screenshot somewhere, anywhere on that screen. So those who are not able to do the vSAN, but you all must understand it's going to be in every company, and they will ask you about this, right? So in the interview, so very, very critical topic. Then the next one, I'm going to be installing 7.0, VMware, the latest one. This is 6.5, then 6.7, then 7.0 comes, right? And 7.0 is totally Linux based, right? So we're going to check and compare that, what is the difference between the Windows-based vCenter and the Linux-based vCenter, and what are all the differences, because as you heard that the 6.5 and 6.7 are expiring this 31st December. You got 16 days to really pass that exam. Then 7.0 is coming, right? So, and CLI as well, exactly. And it's CLI, it has CLI, we're going to do CLI as well. But this is all Linux based. And no, it also has, if you're saying that it is purely CLI there, no, it's the inside vCenter exactly looks like this. Inside, when you deploy the Linux based vCenter, it exactly not exactly, but it is all the features are the same. It would be different, first thing. Second thing, it will be all HTML5. The good news is that the Flash player is kicked out in 7.0. There is no Flash player requirement. It's purely HTML5, right? When we go to UI, right? So this means that Flash player is gone, so some more RAM will be saved as well, and HTML5 based. So very light client. Anyway, when we go to 7.0, so internally it will look like the 546 Windows there, but you will see all the changed environment, and I will tell you all the differences as well, because everyone has to give that 7.0 exam, because maybe you're not ready for 6.5, 6.7 exam, 6.7 exam. So okay guys, what we are talking about here, yeah, server 2 was up, and Saf said that he migrated the machine. I'm going to go ahead and for VM01, I'll try to check it out. First of all, where is my VM01? I think it's on E6i1. So I'm going to just migrate it to E6i2. Right click while it is shut down, or migrate. And then I'll try a backup quickly because we are there. So why don't we just try it. ESXi2, next, and then next. Okay, so what it says is 7.0 going to be more complex and difficult to pass. Well, it's the same multiple choice questions like 6.7, so no, it's not going to be. Well, the main thing is, do we know the differences? So all the features in 6.5 and 6.7 of virtual standard switches and a cluster and DRS, HA, and fault tolerance and vSAN, they're all same here as well. But there are some differences, so we're going to talk about those differences, and I'm going to try to deploy that and show you also how Linux-based vCenter is deployed. But no, there's not fundamental differences there, and it's not supposed to be that tough. It's supposed to be, well, as tough as 6.7 was. So do we have dump file for passing? Do we have sample questions for passing? So yes, but okay, you know what? Let's pause the video now. Okay, guys, we're back recording, and yeah. Mohammed says, when I want to do vMotion to one of the VM, so one data store appears for me, so how could I fix it? So Mohammed, you have to go for ESXi here, and you have to go to configure of each ESXi and storage. You have to go to storage adapters of each both ESXi one by one, ESXi configured storage, and then there's a rescan button here. Make sure your server 1 is up because the disks are coming from there, right? And then if it is up, then go ahead and rescan this small button. So ESXi, configure, storage adapters, rescan, right? Okay guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and try to talk about the V and SAN. There's no V and SAN, it's a full vSAN, right? So what is vSAN? And the explanation of that as well. I'm going to give you the explanation for that as well. Okay, so Saif says, can you check the backup folder on server 2? Oh yeah, did I, when I'm asked questions, I get kind of disrupted, so I'm just going to go back.
Even with the errors, it's still done the backup for me. I have like 5 backups because I tried like 5 times with errors. So it's there, I don't know.
Great. Okay, I relocated the machine. Let me try that. In fact, I was doing that, but I was taken away in the questions, and I forgot what I was really doing.
No, but if you just go to the, the folder, the C folder here, on the C drive, yes. If the backup is there or not?
No, actually, I didn't.
You didn't? Okay.
Okay. So I migrated the machine, and now I'm just gonna, not right click from here. I'll just open that again and double click this, Veeam backup. So guys, I migrated away the machine from the first hypervisor to the other, and VMware, Saf says that, the VMware says that it could be a workaround that vMotion it there and then try to take a backup. So I'm just gonna try to take a backup now. Oh, okay, so yeah, this will haunt me throughout, and I'll just try to ignore that.
Yep. What do we do right now?
Yeah, I'm just trying to take a backup once more after moving the machine from one hypervisor to another, just to check that did that help us? Can this help us to take a backup successfully now or not?
So should I also move my virtual machine 1 to the Xi2? I think I didn't do that because I thought you. Oh.
Well, was your backup first successful? If it was successful, you don't have to do this. If it was not successful, then you can do this.
Okay. So should I have a second screenshot or no?
No, it's okay. First screenshot was okay.
Okay.
So guys, I'm gonna try again vmzip to c:\backup for this machine that I just migrated from one hypervisor to another. Hopefully it works for me as well. Well, it gave me a failure. So I'm gonna try to power on the machine and then take a backup as well. Although power off, power on, it should just take a backup, and it should not matter whether it is powered on or not. So I powered it on now, and it's just giving me the same thing. I'm just gonna go ahead and try once more with the powered on machine. Oh, okay, so it is working for Saf, but it's not working for me. Right. Well, yes, this happens, but this server is all not updated as well. But since we saw the whole procedure of backing up and successfully and restoring it, so that should be good enough for you to exercise on a better hardware, and me as well.
Amir, is the machine running?
Yeah, now it is running.
Okay, because I only was successful when the VM was actually running.
So now it shows the green play button here. Before it was not showing, so now I'm just gonna try again. Ouch. So yeah, for me it's just not really working, so I will have to check that if there's another update for Veeam backup. The good thing is in the newer version 7.0, the backup software is already built into the vCenter, so that's gonna be very good then. And the VUM is also built into the vCenter, so yeah, you're lucky. So, alright guys, I'm just gonna close that now, and so we did try both ways, but it works for some and it doesn't work for others, and it's different configurations on different machines here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and try to talk about that other mucho importante. So very important topic here, that is vSAN. So for that muy importante topic, I'll just open the slide as well, and I will go to the to that. I'll open it up and vSAN. Okay, so and they recommend having VM tools installed on the VM. Okay, so Safe says yes. Okay, so this means that it should be a operating system based machine with VMware tools. So the newer version is, I have previous course videos where it was working fine with exact this configuration. So, but yes, that's very good that you had a machine with VMware tools installed as well. Zhang says here, is this one third-party software? Will not be exam question, right? Yeah, normally it's a third-party software, so yes, the question will not be about Veeam. Although some of the questions, few of the question might have, the question could be about something else, but it might have the mention of Veeam. So in that case, we will know that what is Veeam really doing, backup and replication, right? So, but yes, there will be no questions about Veeam. It's a third party. You're right. Okay, but the whole backup process, whatever questions are there, you would know then what they're talking about, because we did a actual backup and actual restore. So that really gives a good idea about the whole virtual environment backup and restore process. Now we're going to talk about virtual SAN data stores here, and vSAN, a low-priced, highly available storage solution. So when we were talking about SAN, storage area network, so it was all about very high price, very expensive, and 80,000, 100,000, 200, $500,000, and so why not? Because why should it not be expensive? Because it has too much of expensive material. So suppose you go for HP SAN with fiber optic, so that whole equipment of fiber optic separately is expensive, and once you connect that fiber optic equipment there, so the fiber optic network card, the fiber optic switch there, that alone is also just the fiber optic side of it. To have huge speed added there, you need to have a fiber optic switch, you have fiber optic cable, network cards there, HBAs, or the adapters, and slot also, and in the slots on those bays you add those adapters as well on the switch side and on the server side. So this is all expensive material already, and other than that, the SAN device that has a lot of disks, right? So you have long list of disks after disks here, and those disks could be a lot, right? So this is just one row. Normally there are rows and rows of disks there that you can use there, and we already saw that as well. But normally, why it is so much expensive? Because you're using fiber optic for very good speed, right? And if we go for just HP SAN, and then it comes with towers of disks there, and that would be a good example of rows and rows of disks. So you need to purchase each and every disk. It has to be, each of them would be SSD. It would be very good speed. IOPS that are providing the high quality SSDs are even more expensive. So that's why the whole SAN solution with fiber optic, it goes up to then $100,000, $200,000, $500,000, right? You have to do a separate course for that, separate licensing for that. It keeps on adding more and more price tags there. But then it offers high availability solutions. Now, until this was there, all companies had to spend like a good amount of budget for maintaining that SAN solution, and separate courses need to be done. But now well, that's one thing, and the companies would ask that, hey, we get that there should be SAN there for virtual environment, but how about the small companies that actually cannot afford that SAN environment? So what do you do for those? Do you have something for those small companies, right? So in that case, normally, oh, okay, I'm just putting some more pictures for you there, and especially this one, the fiber optic HPE 8GB sample kit, right? So whenever we are talking about that, why it is expensive, you would know that there's the big reason why, and the big reason is that it is having fiber optic. Oh, seriously? Okay. Okay, so now what about those small companies that really, okay, Zian says here, Safe says NAS. No, it is not. NAS is network attached storage, and SAN is storage area network. So what is A stands for in vSAN? Storage area network. Okay, so the difference, now there are questions here, and those are interesting questions. So what is the difference between SAN and NAS? So I think that same question came, I think, in this course or some other course, but NAS is network attached storage, and SAN is storage area network, right? So what's the difference between the two? NAS and SAN both are used for backup, but NAS is for cheaper storage and steerage storage, and you can just go to Canada Computers or Best Buy and go for enclosure with 4 or 8 or 12 disks there, right? And then you can attach it to the network attached storage, right? So SAN is, you have to talk to a big storage relay products selling companies, and very expensive, and obviously and we know now why it is they're expensive. So NAS would be just you can go to the market and grab those disks, and even at home you can attach that. In a production environment, yes, if you're running out of space for some reason, as an emergency, you can just put that NAS there as well, and some of the work and or some of the data can be placed there temporarily, or and until it is stored on some permanent basis somewhere else. So then there is another comment there. SAN is for block storage. Yes, normally this is block storage, and block storage normally is for virtual disks where IOPS are required. Lots of IOPS is required and is provided by SAN. IOPS required and provided by SAN. So what does that mean? you know, when you have a SAN solution, you have virtual disks on top of that, and virtual disks are what? They are large files, but they also keep read and write. They keep on reading and writing on top of your disks. So suppose there's a SAN solution here and you have two hypervisors here. So those two ESXi hypervisors, when they create their virtual machines, so those virtual machines, virtual disks are on LUNs, right? And we know all that. We've discussed all that before. We've created our software SAN. And these disks are on top of what? They are on top of these LUNs. So this is coming here and this is also coming here. And so on top of this one is the disk, and this disk is not just sitting there doing nothing. It's actually, you know, whatever users are connecting to the virtual machine, they are doing a constant read write, right? So either they are reading or searching. When you search your data, so it has to retrieve the data. So that is reading. If you're saving a data or changing a data, that is writing. So there's constant read and write. So for that, it really needs to constantly reach that LUN and retrieve data from, you know, it's data is actually inside the virtual disk, but it is using the power, the read and write capacity, read and write feature of this LUN here. So yes, that's why it is block storage, we call it, and it really you know, consume a lot of power of IOPS, input output data per second, from the LUN. So this virtual disk really you know, needs a lot of IOPS or reads and writes also to be done. So that's why you go for SSD based disks here, and very high performance disks here. That's why everything is expensive, right? So yes, so that's why it is also called block storage. And if we go back to this, so you know, the expensive solution was SAN, obviously, but then the, you know, the companies would just say then, hey, how about us? I mean, we are kind of we really need to have a cheaper solution, right? A low priced, highly available storage solution. So now this is the picture of a SAN. This is not actually vSAN, but vSAN, then what it is. So as you would have guessed already, that it's a low price solution, really. So what's going on with the low pricing here? What's going on with this is that the smaller companies would have told or asked VMware that, hey, we can't afford that. And what is this SAN? Highly available storage solution. If one disk goes down, the other disk is there. If one full tower goes down of which has a lot of disks, then another tower is also there. It's a highly available storage solution. So small companies will say, hey, we cannot afford SAN. So VMware, do you have any other solution for us that is also offering us highly available storage solution? So then VMware came up with vSAN. So what is vSAN? And this weird diagram is showing what is vSAN. So just try to understand this here. Just you know, automatically just understand our here and see. So simple. This is vSAN. Oh, okay, just kidding. So if we go ahead now, what's the big deal with the vSAN? Why vSAN, right? So let me just explain that. How is it saving money? That would be the you know, main thing here. How is it saving money? Now I have created this diagram for another class. It took a lot of time and I was just giving explanation, so I'll just use that to explain what is going on here. So how are companies saving money? The idea behind vSAN is why, because the companies have a lot of older HDDs and SSDs, not older, but they have a lot of, they say that, hey, we already have a lot of SSDs and HDDs. Yes, this much we can afford, but we cannot afford your expensive SaaS solution. SDD. Wow, SSD, right? So companies normally have a lot of bunch of disks there. Suppose there are 20 disks here in this E6i1, 30 disks here, E6i2, or 15 disks here, E6i3, and they say, yes, we have a lot of disks. So VMware said, hey, how about we can have your 3 hypervisors minimum, and we can create a big data store comprising of the local unused disks of 3 hypervisors, and we create a big data store that is on top of E6i3's suppose 2 disks or 20 disks, and it is also on top of the same data store is also on the 20 disks of E6i2 and also on the 20 disks of E6i1. So it will be comprising of the local disks of minimum 3 hypervisors. Okay, so the small companies would say, yes, that we can do, no problem, but how does it work? Is it highly available? How is it highly available then? So VMware said that, okay, if you make such configuration that you have a lot of disks and minimum 3 hypervisors, then our software, so obviously the vSAN, it will make sure that even if one hypervisor goes down, the data store will still stay up, and it will host the virtual machines that are created on top of this data store. The data store name is also vSAN data store. So this data store will be comprising of the unused local disks of 3 minimum hypervisors, and it's going to be highly available. It can tolerate the loss of at least 1 hypervisor. If 2 hypervisors are down, the whole data store will be down and all the virtual machines on top of them will be gone. Not like gone, you obviously are taking backup every day, so but if one hypervisor goes down, the data store will stay up and all the virtual machines on top of the data store here will still stay up, and it gives you the opportunity to run to the data center and check that what happened to this physical server which went down, and maybe while the virtual machines are still working, and you can still get this physical server up and running again. And once it joins back the group, then this highly available storage will still keep on working for those companies who cannot afford expensive SAN solution. Okay, so Safe says what we've created so far is a simulation of physical SAN. Yes, exactly. We created a software SAN here on server 1, which is in place of the physical SAN, but we did not create a vSAN yet, and the creation of it involves unused minimum 2 disks unused on both hypervisors, and also another minimum is one of the disk must be HDD and the other disk must be SSD. If both are SSD or both are HDD, then vSAN will not work as well. So that's just by design, they just put that. I don't know why. Nowadays every company can afford SSD because storage is so cheap, but they say no, one has to be HDD, one has to be SSD. So it's comprising of the local disk. So what we understand from there, yes, all companies, the companies that do not have budget for a SAN, expensive SAN solution, yes, they can afford to have a lot of disks there, and yes, they have some older HDD hard disk drives there as well as the solid state drive, right? So normally companies can buy that. So if they have those bunch of disks there, a lot of disks there, that's all they need to create a vSAN data store. And it's a big data store that is comprising of the unused local disks of minimum 3 hypervisors, and it can tolerate the loss of at least 1 hypervisor. So we understand that, okay, it can tolerate the loss of 1 hypervisor, but what really happens? One hypervisor actually, so you created a full vSAN here, and you attached a lot of disks here and here and here. You created successfully a vSAN data store on top of that. That's just one big data store that is attached to 3 hypervisors. Then you start creating virtual machines on top of that. Okay, they're running fine, yay. So yeah, somebody was saying anything, or it's just a accidental mic opened. Okay, I guess it's accidental. I'll just mute you. Oh, okay. Okay, so Safe says in the past SSD was not very reliable. Maybe that's why. Yes, it could be that. So SSDs from good companies, yeah, that should be the one thing that we should go for. There are some unknown companies also, or not well-known companies that have SSDs as well. Okay, so what's going on? Now we have VM kernel. So yeah, we were talking about that. We have virtual machines here, virtual machine here. What if actually one hypervisor does crash? Then what are the sequence of events that are happening there, right? Okay, so Russia says, are we implementing storage DRS for HA in case of one of the hypervisor failure? Storage DRS for HA. So we're going to talk about that, but it's not. We're not implementing that. We're going to talk about that, Sylvester. I'll try to get that lab up and running, but I do not have that lab actually working right now. The normal DRS, yes, but storage DRS, normally it's a few clicks and it gets configured as well. Okay, guys, so here, but yeah, the current topic is also very critical, so let's try to understand this. Okay, so here, suppose the one virtual machine, one physical server goes down, right? So what will happen? What will happen is that so suppose these two disks are part of the vSAN, then these two disks are part of the vSAN, then these two disks are part of the vSAN, right? So if this physical server goes down, and suppose all the disks were comprising of 500 GB, 500 GB, 500 GB, 500 GB, right? So you would have suppose total of 3 terabyte total vSAN data store, because 500 GB, 500 GB here, and 500, 500 here, and 500, 500 here, right? So if one physical server goes down, then yes, the overall capacity will also be gone for the vSAN data store. So 1 terabyte will be gone if one server goes down, and whatever storage it was providing there. So not only that, it will be gone, that space will be gone. Not only that, the HA will kick in. Why HA will kick in? Because there were virtual machines running on that ESXi2 that crashed. So HA is supposed to restart the virtual machine on top of any other physical server or ESXi host, right? So when one physical server goes down, one of the vSAN host goes down, the capacity that it was providing will not be available anymore, and the machines that were running on top of that host will be restarted on others. So these two things will happen. But if two goes down, obviously the whole vSAN data store will go down. So hopefully you had a backup there, right? All right, so what we try to do is that we're going to talk some more, and we're going to create that full lab. Obviously this means that those who have 16 GB, you won't be able to do this lab, but the screenshots are still required. So I've told you the way as well. You can take a screenshot of my screen, but put your name somewhere in the screenshot. If your name is not there on the screenshot that you've taken of my screen, then also that will not be accepted. So your name has to be there somewhere in the screenshot, right? So we have talked about the vSAN concept. Hopefully it is clear. One more thing is that some companies are actually earning millions of dollars now by implementing the vSAN solution. Nutanix is one of those companies. Some of you may have heard about it. It just provides its own hardware. Normally it is called hyper-converged infrastructure, where they say that okay, you can purchase our 5, 10, 20, 30 hardware, and they will all be configured with vSAN. As soon as you add them to the network and you power them on, they connect together with their local storage, and they create you a highly available storage comprised of the local disks of the physical server. So Nutanix is totally offering that solution, which is vSAN in VMware. That's the same solution Nutanix is offering, and some other SoftGrid is another company. SoftGrid is another company that exactly is earning millions of dollars just by offering this solution and their own hardware, right? Okay, so let's try to go ahead and implement that. So how do we implement that? Obviously, there are some changes there to our environment that we need to do. First of all, we need to have 3 hypervisors. So this means that those who have 16 GB RAM, you can see this lab, but wherever I ask you to take the screenshot, take a screenshot of my screen and put your name there anywhere on that screenshot, right? So, but those who have 24 GB or 32 GB RAM, you can particularly do this lab. And what are the preparation we need to do? I'll go for the slide and show you what are the preparation we need to do. So if we go for this minimum of, so vSAN requirements recap, minimum of 3 hosts there, minimum of 1 SSD and 1 HDD. I'm going to show you that VMware vCenter has provided a feature where if you have 2 SSDs, suppose, then you can select the 1 SSD and click that button, and it will fool the vSAN into thinking that hey, one of them is HDD and one of them is SSD. You can actually mark the SSD as HDD just for fooling the vSAN, right? So why did VMware added that feature there? Because sometimes when you do have SSDs there, and sometimes vSAN software does not detect it as an SSD. Suppose you got it from a cheaper company, a bit more unknown company, and it is not detecting it as SSD, and both are showing it as HDD. So then there's a button there to fool the vSAN into thinking, yes, don't worry, one is SSD, one is HDD. Just go ahead and configure the SSD. So it has to detect that. vSAN has to detect that one is SSD and HDD in order to go ahead and let you use the vSAN, right? Okay, so vSAN HCL, you have to go for that. What is HCL? It's a hardware compatibility list. You have to go to the website when you're purchasing that what kind of HDDs and SSDs and IO controllers are okay with vSAN, that the vSAN will be able to and detect. vSAN 6 licensing or 6.5, 6.0, 6.5, 6.7, whatever licenses is required, you have to have that license. Dedicated 1 Gbps, better go for 10 gigabits per second uplink or network adapter, and the cable, they should all be supporting 10 gigabits per second. That is the same for vMotion as well. VM kernel port dedicated for vSAN. So we have already created VM kernel port for vMotion. We've created for what? For fault tolerance, and now we're going to create that for vSAN. And the VM kernel port is there to make sure that there are advanced configurations. For advanced feature, there are networking configurations for them are also configured there in each hypervisor. So that said, these are the requirements, and we understand the purpose here as well. I'm going to come back to this diagram as well when we have configured the whole environment, because it's all about fault domain. What is a fault domain? We're going to talk about that too. And if we understand the whole process or the concept of that, it's a big lab, but it's a very, very crucial lab. So I'm going to go ahead and go for the prerequisites here. Lots of changes need to be done on our environment. In previous course, 1 or 2 students actually went on, try to configure vSAN on a 16 GB RAM. So, well, I was saluting their dedication, but normally with 16 GB you can't do that. Why? You can see the prerequisites here right now. Add 30. Yeah.
Amir, why you add third ESI? Why you not do it just with two ESI?
The vSAN.
Why we need? Why we need third?
Yeah, because vSAN requires third, otherwise it will not work. Well,
Thank you.
so yeah, that's by design by VMware, so we can't do anything about it. But anyone who wants to try the whole thing with two, you can try. Documentation says it has to be three. Sometimes with workarounds, even with two, I haven't seen anyone doing that with two, and would tell me that, oh, what happened at the end, or where were you stuck. So you can try with two if you want. Otherwise, normally by design it is for three. So let's go ahead. Just a second, guys. Okay, so let's go ahead with the so add a third ESXi. We need to do that, but how? And add its A record in DNS on server 1. Add it to vCenter, just like the other two ESXi hosts we added to the vCenter. We have to add the third one as well to the vCenter. But the limitation is that you cannot have an ESXi less than 6 GB. If it is less than 6 GB, vSAN will not work. So the requirements are, it's for companies, right? It's not for our test environments, or even test environments should have more bigger machines. So that's why it's minimum 6 GB it requires, otherwise it's not going to work. And if we go ahead with third hypervisor must have total 3 NICs and 2 new disks. So 2 new disks and 3 NICs, why? So if we go back to the diagram, our plan is to have 2 new disks added here, 500 GB each. It could be 300 GB, 400 GB, 500 GB, doesn't matter. They are thin disks, thin provision, right? We can give any size here. So we're going to add 2 new disks to each hypervisor. Hypervisor 1, 2 new disks, 500 GB each. Hypervisor 2, 2 new disks. And hypervisor 3, 2 new disks, 500 GB each. Doesn't have to be 500, can be 600, could be 700 as well, right? But why are we adding 2 new disks? That is also the requirement of vSAN, minimum 2 disks, 1 HDD, 1 SSD. So that's a requirement of this software. So we can't go other than that. We cannot implement anything else. Otherwise, it won't work. So the plan is that we need to upgrade the RAM of ESXi 1 and 2 to 6 GB each, and we need to add 2 disks 500 GB each on ESXi 1 and ESXi 2. So for that we need to shut down both ESXi 1 and ESXi 2, and we're going to keep it shut down, and we're going to install ESXi 3 obviously with 6 GB RAM and 2 SSDs here as well for the vSAN, right? Why am I saying 3 network cards? Remember that when we are adding VM kernel adapters, so we are going for the vendor best practices. What is that? Okay, so there's a question. Najang says, what is the main difference between we have done so far? Main difference between we have done so far. So maybe you mean that, hey, don't we already have a software SAN? So, and now we're gonna have a vSAN. So software SAN is different. It's, it's a copying. It's just a mimicking of actual SAN we have, and that is vSAN here. But if you're saying that, what is the difference between what we have done so far and this? That's a very general question. What we have done so far is we have done HA, we have done DRS, we have done FT, and VUM and Veeam, and then we're now going for vSAN. So these are all different disaster recovery features.
Yeah, I mean the storage one, the storage area. In terms of storage, we have 3 lines, right? We have run 1, run 3. After all, we have 2 hypervisors, and
The third one we need to add.
however,
Yeah.
all the hard disks are we like to create the software sum of from the two storage, which
So these will be local hard disks, and we're going to add them in each hypervisor one by one. We don't have to add those hard disks here because we're not going for software SAN anymore. Software SAN represents SAN, and it does not represent vSAN. So vSAN is configured totally differently. So we actually would not need this software SAN at all.
okay, so you mean combine all the hard disks together to create a big
Data store.
data store called vSAN? Is that
Exactly. That's exactly.
is the logical stuff called vSAN,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Oh.
You're right. You got it.
Okay. It's like a resource pool, something resource pool.
No, well, resource pool is to reserve CPU and RAM. That's what resource pool is used for. This is just a big data store that is created on top of 2 disks or each of 3 hypervisors. So minimum 2 disks. It could be 20 disks here, 20 here, 20 here, but we will just add 2 disks, which is minimum. And so it's gonna be on top of the 2 disks. That's of each hypervisor. 3 hypervisor minimum. So that's the main requirement. Cool.
Okay.
Okay, guys. So here we have the 2 disks. Well, what we're gonna do is, as per the requirements here. So add memory 6 GB to all 3 ESXi hosts, and then third hypervisor must have total 3 NICs. 3 NICs, why? Because we need to add VM kernel port with 2 adapters as a vendor best practice. Otherwise, 1 adapter is also okay. And then VM kernel port to all 3 ESXi hosts with separate IP addresses. Normally, vSAN also requires a VM kernel port because it's a very critical service. It requires its own IP VM kernel port for vSAN. Add 2 new disks to each host. If there already is another disk and was used before, then it would not be detected. So if you have used that disk, suppose you have 20 disks here, but you have a data store on top of that, you're already using that, then vSAN will not be able to detect that. vSAN needs untouched, raw, new disks, right? Otherwise, vSAN will not detect it. So it must not be used disks. And well, it says here it must be unused disks. And then we're gonna enable vSAN. So there's a lot of environment configurations that need to be done, and after that, vSAN is really sensitive, just like fault tolerance was sensitive. So, but it does detect and it does work. So we're gonna go for all this, but hopefully you understood the purpose of the vSAN, and then we're gonna go for this configuration. So what we need to do now, what we need to do is that I'm gonna shut down the hypervisor. Okay, so Acham says, should both SAN and vSAN need to have in production environment and is good practice? Well, those environments that have SAN may also have a vSAN as well. Yes, maybe for their test environment they don't want to use the SAN, and they can have vSAN there. And suppose the company is big, but that year or the next 2 years the budget restraints are there. Maybe COVID-19, they ran out of budgets now. So and you still need more highly available storage. So yes, companies do use vSAN as well wherever there are budgetary restrictions there. Otherwise, if they can afford, banks, they go for SAN. But I've seen banks using much cheaper technology as well, So yes, vSAN is there, why not use it? So yes, companies do use it wherever they really have some budgetary restraints, maybe for test environment they want to use it. So yes. Okay, okay, welcome. Okay guys, so here I'm gonna go back to what is our strategy. Our strategy to change our environment to configure vSAN now. So first of all, I'm gonna count my RAM out of 24 GB. Those who have 32 GB, you can count like that. And so first is 2 GB, okay. Second is 12 GB, so that's already 14 GB, and then 18 here. 6 times 3, 18. So 18 and 14. Any PhD here in mathematics? Anyone who has a doctorate degree in mathematics can help out. What is 18 plus 14, right? So so 28 and 32. Ouch. So it equals blue screen. Okay, that's definitely so this means that at least I need to, so yes, we clearly see here overcommitment of RAM. Overcommit, seriously, why did I choose such a long word? Overcommit, I'm writing this with my mouse. So overcommitment of RAM. But you know, it does work, because you will see that you give 6 GB, so vSAN could detect that and get installed successfully. But you're gonna see that it's not gonna use, each hypervisor will not use up to 6 GB of RAM. It is just to satisfy the requirement of vSAN, right? So even if you have less RAM and you overcommit the machines, you have less physical RAM, but you're giving more RAM to the hypervisors, it's okay, because they're not going to use up to that much RAM just to satisfy the vSAN requirements. So in my case, I'm going to check out that if I can have 8 GB here, which is very brutal for a vCenter, and 8 and 2, 10, and still 18. So that would still be 28 GB, right, for me. If I go for 8 GB, or if I go for 10 GB, then it's 30 GB, right? So 12 plus 18. So, and I have 24 GB, so that's really not a very good idea. But you know, I need to still show you how it works, so I'm just going to go ahead. Now what I need to do is, I will those who are following, E6i1 shut down, E6i2 shut down, and keep them shut down. When we shut down E6i1 and 2, we need to change its RAM. We need to add 2 disks, new 2 disks, 500 GB each. I also need to, well, in terms of the server 2, what we need to do is, I'm going to check out how much RAM I have in server 2. Right click, settings. Oh, 10 GB, okay. Looks like I am over committing, but I think I'll survive, I guess. So I'm going to go for, I already have 10 GB here, right? If I want to put it down to 8 GB, then I would shut this one down as well. In fact, you know what? I'll just shut down. I don't want to risk freezing my system, right? So I will shut down. So shut down E6i1, shut down E6i2, shut down server 2. That's it. All 3, right? In server 2, I'm going to change the RAM to 8 GB and power it on. I'll keep these 2 guys shut down, because I need to install E6i3 first and add it to the vCenter. Once it is fully added, then I'm going to start the other 2 as well, right? So Xiang says have to shut down. Yes. So Xiang, if you have 16 GB RAM, or those who want to do this stunt on 16 GB RAM, you know, it's gonna be very difficult for you. So I'm just gonna go for shut down E6i1, E6i2, and server 2 as well, in my case, because I want to have 8 GB RAM here on. So E6i2, right click, power, shut down, shut down. E6i1, right click, power, shut down. Server 2, right click, power, shut down. once we have shut down all the systems, so E6i1 needs to be 6 GB, right now it is 4 GB. E6i2 needs to be 6 GB, right now it is 4 GB. So first I'm going to go to E6i1. I'm going to change its RAM to 6 GB because otherwise vSAN will not work. 6.2, okay, it goes to 6.2, which is good. 6.1 actually. I'm going to press OK. Oh, I need to add 2 disks as well, so I'm just going to go back. Should not have pressed OK. Okay, so now all these disks, these are network routers, seriously. I was saying all these disks. So I have only one disk here, 200 GB, which already has a hypervisor E6i installed. I'm going to go to add button here and add the 2 disks. Disk number 1. So I've clicked add and the hard disk is selected already. I'm going to click next. SCSI is okay. Next. New virtual disk is okay. Next. And it is thin provision. You can give any size. I'm giving 500 GB. And single file. That's it. That's the only change. 500. Next. No change here for the external name of the virtual disk. And click finito. Then I'm going to need another disk because for each hypervisor we need 2 raw unused disks. Add hard disk. Next. SCSI. Next. Virtual disk. Next. 500. Next. No change on the outside name. And finito. So one hypervisor E6i1 has 6 GB RAM now and 2 unused disks, 500 GB each. That's what I'm going to do on the second hypervisor as well, and obviously in third hypervisor when it gets installed. So I'm going to press OK here. E6i1 is OK now according to the vSAN configurations. I'm going to go for E6i2 now and click the memory here. And I'll go for 6208. Once the memory is changed, I'm going to go for hard disk as well when we configure SSD as HDD. Oh yeah, so that will be when we are configuring vSAN. At that time there will be a feature that I will show you that will convert an SSD to HDD or HDD to SSD. So, but not now. Now we just need to add the disks. Add. We'll go for hard disk already selected. Next. SCSI. Next. Virtual disk. Next. 500 and single file. So we know the drill now. Next and finito. Then we go for add hard disk. Next. SCSI is there. Next. Virtual disk. Okay. Is there a minimum size of the disk? Well, it's thin provision, so any size doesn't matter. It's not gonna take much there, but minimum size can be at least more than 2 GB. 2. Next. 500. So it's not gonna take that much size. Thin provision does not take any space. So unless you put a data, we are not putting any data here. When we do put, it's not gonna take that much space as well. So better go for bigger size. Okay, singles file. Next. And that's it. So 2 disks have been added. 6 GB RAM is given to the second hypervisor as well. So I'm just going to press OK for vSAN requirement.
By default, the hard disk you added the format of the hard disk is SSD. Default is SSD.
Yeah, so by default it is taking SSD, but when we configure vSAN, at that time I will show the feature that it can convert any disk or mark it as HDD or SSD. But here, whatever the disk is, we need to add it that way.
Okay. Sorry, I forgot. So what is the hot add and the cold add? So you have to shut down the machine. I can do
Oh yeah,
this.
it's not hard at. It's not
Use
gonna
it.
support hard at. You have to shut down the machine to do this.
Okay.
So, all right.
What's the usage? What's the use case of the hard hat?
Well, then you don't have to shut down the machine, and you don't have to wait for the machine to come up. That's the purpose of hard hat. Okay. So yeah, Sylvester says, yeah.
Amir, sorry, one question. So
Mm-hmm.
the RAM for ES2 and ESI1 is 6, and server 2 is 7. It is wrong division I did? Or?
It's okay. I mean, server 2, if it has less RAM, so it's going to take longer time to start all the services in the background. And but yes, according to whatever we have, so yes, that is okay. 7 is, 8 is brutal, 10 is brutal, even 12 and 16 is very bad for vCenter. So 7 is okay. Hopefully it starts all the services in 20 minutes. Hopefully. So, so yeah. Okay, so I'll go to the browser. Sylvester has a question there that what is the minimum disk for vSAN? Now vSAN, I'm just actually typing that because vSAN minimum disk pre-rack. So that's a very interesting question. So minimum 3 ESXi hosts, yeah, and 1 hard disk, yeah. When it comes to size, I mean, it should be big because minimum of 32 GB memory. Oh, each host must contain a minimum of 32 GB memory. Are you kidding me? No, it's gonna, don't worry, it's gonna work with 6 GB as well. Normally, you know what? Why do you have a disk there? Because you will be putting a lot of virtual machines and virtual disks. So that's why I think they're expecting big disks there, because virtual machine, virtual disk can go up to 100 GB. It starts with 40 GB, 60 GB. So that's why it's going to be a bit hard to find that. What is the minimum disk controller requirement? Disk controller requirement? No, it's just the disk controller, but not the disk size. That's going to be a bit hard to find. So please do Google it and check it out, because they do need a lot of space for that. They understand that. But yes, what is the minimum in the lot of space as well? That's a valid question. So yes, I have to take it out myself as well. Never thought of that before. We just need as much disk space as possible, because virtual machines will be there with big virtual disks there. So it has to be big. Okay, so here guys, now we have well, I have shut down the ESXi2. ESXi1 is okay. Those two are okay. 66 GB RAM and 500 GB disks on both ESXi1 and ESXi2. Server 2, what about this? Okay, I have 10 GB RAM here, and I can give this poor guy 8 GB RAM now, and really good luck to me. So I'll go to 8 GB RAM for the server 2, which is very, very, very bad treatment with vCenter. vCenter will never tolerate that. vCenter will not forgive us, ever. Okay, 8 GB RAM, I'm gonna power it on. Just the server 2, it's gonna take long time for the background services of the vCenter to start with this less RAM. So power it on now, but do not power on ESXi1, do not power on ESXi2. Just power on server 2, which is the vCenter, right? I'm going to power on now the server 2. Okay. So server 2 is powering on. I'm not starting ESXi1, ESXi2. Why? Because according to the diagram, I need ESXi3 with 6 GB RAM and with 2 disks, and actually 3 NICs as well. Where did I write that? Or I did not. So 3 NICs as well. Just for this one. Because others have 9 NICs, right? 9 network cards. This one should have 1 NIC for the regular traffic, 2 NICs for the vSAN VM kernel port for vSAN, right? So that's the division. Unix for VM kernel port. Alright, so I'm gonna go back here and I'm going to install the new hypervisor. Okay, for that I really need some space on my D drive, and I'll delete all these other machines because we're gonna install 7.0 there. So in that case, last time when I was installing 7.0, the latest version, weird thing happened and it was not letting me put my password. So that was really weird. The whole class was like, I never saw that error. So in the class it happened. Outside of the class when I tested it, it was fine. Really. Okay, so I hope I have enough disk space now, so I'll just check it out as well. F5 45 GB. Okay, I can breathe now. So I'll go for the third one now, right? I need to give it the same name. So as ESXi, so I'm just gonna copy the name of one of the ESXi here. I'll go for rename and right click and copy that. I'll just name that it ESXi 3, right? The new hypervisor. So I'll go for home button and I'm gonna create the third hypervisor. I'm gonna click create new here. And then click next. So I need that hypervisor. Yeah.
Where go to home then?
Yeah. Go to home and then click create new virtual machine.
Okay, thank you.
And then click next with typical. And we need to actually give the path of the 6.5 hypervisor. So I'm gonna select the installer disk here and I'm gonna select browse, and then I'll select, okay, 6.5, right? So that would be here. 6.5 vMvisor installer 6.5 update 1. vMvisor installer 6.5, right? I'm going to double click that and it is detected. Now I'll click next. So I had copied that name of the other hypervisors. I'm going to just right click and paste that name there, but change the ESXi1 to 3. Yeah.
Okay, hypervisor 6.5. This one, am I right?
vMvisor 6.5. It's the name of the file is vMvisor 6.5. If these two are there, yes, this is the file. So I'll change my C drive to D drive. In my case, you don't have to do that. And click next. And 200 GB is the disk space that I normally give. It's thin provision, so don't worry, it's not going to take space on your laptop. And I'll click next. So there's customized hardware. I'll go for customized hardware, and because vSAN requires 6 GB, so that is something. 6.2 comes here on the right side, right? Right click here, 6.1 comes here, which is okay. 2 processors is okay, and network adapter has to be VMware 15. Why? Because all the other hypervisors have VMware 15 as well, and server 1, server 2 also have VMware 15. So I'm just gonna change that adapter to custom. So adapter, custom, drop down, VMnet 15. Now, can we add disks, 2 disks, 500 GB each here? I don't think so, but I'll try because we're creating a new one, so it doesn't let us do that. I'm going to click add button here, and hard disk you don't see here, so it's not going to allow us to add a hard disk. So it will only allow us when we have installed the full machine, full hypervisor. So right now 6 GB RAM, yes, but the hard disk, no. Yeah, we can add the NICs. You're right. Thank you for sharing that or reminding that. I'm gonna add the other 2 NIC network interface cards. So click add here, network adapter, and finish. The other one is also NAT. I'm gonna change it to VM15. So custom VM15. But I need total 3, right? 1 for local traffic, 2 for the vendor best practice for VM kernel adapter with a new switch. I'm going to click the add button again and network adapter and click finito and go for custom and VMware 15. Done. Okay, so can you repeat the 3 NICs for, yeah, 3 NICs are for 1 NIC for the local LAN traffic, and the 2 other network cards are for the vendor best practice, which is that when you're creating VM kernel adapter, remember that when we were creating VM kernel adapter for vMotion, so we created a new switch and then we attached 2 network cards to that switch as a vendor best practice. So that's why we're adding 2 more NICs here. Just like with vMotion, just like with fault tolerance, when we created a VM kernel adapter, we always gave it a separate switch and 2 network cards. So that's for that purpose, we're going for 2 NICs here as well, 2 extra NICs. Okay, so I have added 2 more NICs here. I have gone for 6 GB RAM for the 3rd hypervisor, but since I cannot add the 2 new raw disks now, so I'm just gonna go for start an installation of the E6.5 hypervisor on this 3rd machine as well. So I'm just gonna click close now and finito and starto, right? So it's gonna start now. Other side, server 2 is started, but I'm gonna give it enough time because already I mistreated it by giving it 8 GB RAM, so the background services will take longer time to start now. So I'll give it that longer time. Until then, I am installing ESXi03. Okay, so there's a break request, so I'm just gonna reach till the when it starts installation, and then we can take a break. We can take a 2-3 minute break, right? What, more than 2-minute break you need? Why? Okay. So where it starts asking for options, I'm gonna click next. That's when it starts installing. We can take that break. It's better no break than 2-minute break. Okay, so yeah, you're right. 2.34. Oh, there you go. So 2-3 minute break is 2.34. So 2 minutes and 30 seconds, 34 seconds. Well, it's still starting and it's gonna ask for those questions. In fact, those who are no, I can't take a break. Give a break now while it is on this. So because those who are following me, they will go ahead and I will be left behind, and I will then scream, "Hey, why are you ahead of me? Why did you leave me alone?" Okay, so it's asking to go ahead. I'm going to click next. I'm going to press on it, and the rest is all keyboard based. I'm just going to press enter, and then it is F11. And then it's asking for the disk that is there. I'm going to press enter. It's asking for US default language. I'm going to press enter, and asking for password, small abc, capital ABC, shift123 without shift123, down arrow, small abc, capital ABC, shift123 without shift123, enter. And then F11 for install, yay! Okay guys, now we take a break of 2.34 minutes and come back. Okay, just kidding. So let's take a break here, and that's it. And okay, let me just so when do we come back? That is the question. So break, and then there is yeah, classes starts at 8:25, 35, 40. Okay, since it says so 8:40. Now, and I'll just check it out. So yes, there's a final reboot there. I'll just click that for the third hypervisor. It's going to reboot, and after that we need to actually shut it down and add the 2 disks as well. So what we need to do, if we go to the diagram, we can check it out. So that A6i3 is doing a final restart. Now we don't have to give a static IP here, just to save time, and this machine will be used only for today. So we're going to just let it take the IP from our DHCP, and DHCP is here in the server 1. Yeah, well, we do have to disable lockdown mode for 2nd and 3rd. Actually, for the vSAN to connect it, the prereqs don't actually say that. So this means we're good. We don't have to disable lockdown. So if it's disabled already, it's okay. If it is not disabled, it's okay. It's gonna work. So we're gonna let it take the IP from DHCP and name. We're just gonna name it, right? So we're gonna go inside the DC UI direct console user interface here, and we're going to simply put its name just like other names, because it's gonna take everything else from DHCP configuration. So we're just gonna name it exactly like others, and in fact, what's the name of the others? Oh well, it's fully started, A6i3. I need to go inside the DC UI. You can already see that it got a 200.50 IP address from DHCP, right? I still need to go inside DHCUI just to give it a proper name. If I go to server 1 here and go to check their name, if I want to check their name, right? So in server 1, if I go to tools and DNS, just to check the names, so I go to forward lookup zone, domain name, And yes, so the names are like this. Your first name is ESXi1, your first name is ESXi2. So I'm going to go for your first name is ESXi3, while the IP will be that what it got from DHCP, right? So I'm just going to go back there. Now I'm going to enter the DCUI mode just to rename it to your first name is ESXi3. The rest of the things I'm not going to touch or change because DHCP has already given that. I'm going to click on top of that and FN F2 in the laptop or F2 key. I'm just going to go put the password to log in to this. Just going to press enter. And there is configure password. Okay, if I go down, there's configure management network. I'm going to press enter here. Network adapters is there, VMNIC 0. If I go down, VLAN, we don't need to configure that. If I go further down, there is IPv4 configuration, and on the right side you can see the correct 200.50, correct subnet is there, correct gateway is there. So DHCP has done already a good job. If I go further down, IPv6, we don't need to change that, but I do need to go to DNS configuration, this one. So if I see the right side, yes, the DNS IP is correct, but the host name is not correct. So I'm just gonna go inside and change the host name to your first name is ESXi3, just like the naming of the other two hypervisors. So I'll go inside the DNS configuration now, and I'll put the down key here and spacebar. I'm going to go down here to localhost and ESXi. Oh, the first name is ESXi3, so ESXi3. I didn't put 0 there, so whatever the naming convention going on already for the other two, I'm going to put it in the third one. I'm just going to press enter here. So I have configured, then I'm going to go down here and I'm going to check that the DNS suffix is there. Yes, DHCP has given that DNS suffix as well. So all stuff done correctly. And this would be our second. I'm just going to go up to IPv4 here. In fact, in the DNS configuration, this is our screenshot number 2 now. So those who are not here, you can take the screenshot of my screen, but put your name anywhere in that screenshot. So take a screenshot number 2 here, take a screenshot number 2 here. Everyone has to take it, and you can put your name in that screenshot, right? So
Amir,
yeah,
I little lost. So to calm the DNS, what we should select?
you're exactly on this page where I am.
No, just
You're on the DCUI page where it is stopped. If you're way back, then you can just take a screenshot of my screen and put your name there. If you're a bit near, then okay, so the screenshot is there. Yeah, so restore network. Hey, go out of here. Okay, let me show you where I am. Press escape from there. And this is a screen that we enter, right? So configure password, there's configure management, right? So press enter on this one.
configure management.
Yeah, press enter on this one.
But if I back to, I should press escape, am I right? I press escape.
You have to click on top of the screen first to select the screen and then press escape.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now
Configure management network.
Yes, F2. configure management network. Yes. Then select enter.
Then go down to, so if you check, if you're on IPv4 here, on the right side, do you see .50 given there? If you're on IPv4 configuration here, on the right side, do you see 200.50?
IPv4, yes, 200.50, yes.
Okay, so on left side, just keep going down arrow until you reach DNS configuration.
Yes.
Press
Then
enter, and you see this. So you have to select the second one and press spacebar. On the second one, press spacebar. Then go down here and just type the name, your first name, ESXi3.
Okay, host name.
Yeah.
Okay.
And once you select, put the correct name there, then you have to press enter, and then press escape once only and save the whole configuration.
Once EX65, then select.
Then press enter. Once you have put the name,
enter.
then press enter.
Yes. Yes. Then escape.
Then escape.
Okay, thank you.
And if it asks for saving, just press Y.
Okay.
That's it. So I already saved it, so that's why it didn't ask me. So that's all we need to do here on E6i3. But we do need to give its name in DNS as well. So now we're gonna, oh well, did we take a screenshot, guys? So it was configure management network. It was the DNS configuration screen where we were supposed to take a screenshot. So take a screenshot now. Well, maybe you've already taken it. So the screenshot name was ESXi3 installed. Screenshot name is E6i3 installed. I'm taking a screenshot. Guys, please take a screenshot of my screen and put your name somewhere in the screen. If you're doing that lab, then yes, then it's your screen that you need to take a screenshot.
So Amir, take the screenshot when select configure management network or DNS config.
DNS configuration, where I am, that's where. So DNS configuration. Okay. So once you take a screenshot, let's go ahead. So that's we have less time. That's why we have to go a bit faster. So screenshot 2 equals ESXi3 installed is the title. Now put it there. Screenshot 2 ESXi3 installed. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and go to, so ESXi3 is okay. I'm just gonna go to server 1 and inside the DNS. So in server 1, now I have gone to server manager here inside server 1, and I'm going to tools and then DNS. So server 1, server manager, tools, DNS. Then I am going for forward lookup zone. So there's that server name here. I need to create an A record just like we created before, right? So I'm going to expand that, forward lookup zone, and then there's a domain name there. So I just need to right click here on the domain name or right click down here, and I need to create a new host A record. And that would be the correct name. If you don't put the correct name, it's not going to work. Your first name ESXi3. So I'll check the spellings here. your first name ESXi3. So yeah, your first name is ESXi3. I checked it, and now the IP is the IP that it got from DHCP 192.168.200.50 or 50 is the IP, and we can click add host. Let's click add host. And done. So our first name 01. Refresh. Once it is, so I've just created that A record here, right? And it is your first name ESXi3 is there, ESXi3, and the IP, right? And then we can just refresh. Your first name 01, refresh. That's it. Now we're ready to add this to the vCenter ESXi3. Actually, first of all, if we go to the diagram, you can also see that we still need 2 disks here, which we haven't installed yet. So I'm going to shut it down, put the 2 disks, and then power it on. Although the disks can be hard added, sometimes they don't get detected and we have to restart. So we don't want to take that risk of, okay, let's start it again. So let's just shut down ESXi3 now, and then add the 2 disks 500 GB each, just like we added the 2 disks on ESXi1 and ESXi2. So I'm shutting down the ESXi3. So once it is shut down, I'm going to right click here, and I need to add 2 disks, right? I'm going to right click here and go to settings, and then there's only 1 disk showing here, 200 GB. I'm going to add 2 more disks 500 GB each for the vSAN, as it needs 2 raw unused disks. So once I click the add button, hard disk is selected. We know the drill. Next. So SCSI is okay. Next. Create a new virtual disk is okay. Next. And 500. So we've done that before. Next. The external name is this. Finito. Then we go again for add. Hard disk is there. Next. SCSI is there. Next. Virtual disk is there. Next. 500. File disk. Next. And finish. So what we did is shut down the ESXi3 and added 2 new disks 500 GB each, right? 2 new disks 500 GB each. So I'm going to press O and K. Okay guys, so ESXi3, we still need to add that, so I'm just only going to still start ESXi3 because we need to add this in vCenter. Well, we're hearing some, okay. Okay, so once it is up, I'm going to go for server 2. Now I've given enough time for the vCenter services in the background to start. I need to log into the vCenter so I could add the E6i3 here as well, right? So I'm going to go to E6i2 now, and hopefully all the services have had enough time to start. I'm just going to go for logging in. Okay, so once it is I'm logged in, I'm going to go double click the Google Chrome, and I'll just try to connect with, suppose I type Vsphere. Oh, okay, so maybe I'm just gonna go down here. There's Vsphere web client here. So okay, advanced, proceed. So I need to add the E6i3 client now, host. It's again asking the Flash player. I'll click that and allow, and we know the drill. Reload, then go for administrator at vsphere.local, small abc, abc chip 123 chip 123, and log in. I think I gave a good 20-25 minutes for the services to start at 8 GB RAM. And also my 6i1 and 2 are actually not started. Only 6i3 started, so there was enough RAM in the background as well. Once the RAM is not available, that's where we're kind of stuck. And now it's going to be 7.0 version that needs to be deployed. So it's still in, yeah, so it's loading now. It sees here that, hey, 6i1, 2 are not there. Yes, because we did not start them, right? We want that E6i3 to be fully added to the Tor DC first, then the Tor cluster, and then we can go ahead with starting those two as well. So I'll just make that screen full. So here I'm going to select the Tor DC, and first I will add the new E6i3 to the data center. Then once it is added to the data center, then from there I'm going to move it to the cluster, right? The new hypervisor. So I'm going to right click on Tor DC here. Technically what you can do is you can also add directly in Tor cluster as well, but better go for Tor DC because sometimes it gives errors with such limited resources. So I'm going to right click on Tor DC and I'm going to click add host. And you know what, well, okay, I'll just add your first name, the name first name. In fact, I'll go to the server 1, go to the DNS, go to forward lookup zone, go to domain name, and then E6i3, double click that A record that we just created now. I'm going to copy the whole name from here, although we can type it as well. So select Control V on the keyboard, so it pastes the whole name here, and click next. So hopefully the name is the same spelling as you put there manually in E6i3 when you were configuring that. If it's not the same in DNS and E6i3 hypervisor, then it's not going to work anyway. So it's asking for username, password of the host, root, and small abc, capital abc, chip 123, chip 123. and hopefully it connects now. So it pops up with the certificate store of vCenter server cannot verify. Yeah, this is just a self-signed certificate, so I'm just gonna press yes. And yes, it connects. Yay! Okay, I'll click next. And yeah, the license, it's okay. Next. So I'm not enabling lockdown mode now, but just to avoid any surprises. But prerequisites do not say that we have to turn off lockdown mode. So anyway, I'll not turn it on as well. I'll keep it disabled, lockdown mode, and click next. And next. And finito. So it is added to the Tor DC, right? I'm just gonna make it full screen again. And yes, it is added there in the data center. Now I'm going to right click here and move it to Tor cluster, right? After adding it to the data center, I'm going to move to Tor cluster. So where is the Tor cluster? It is inside Tor DC. There is Tor cluster. I'm going to click that Tor plus.
Hi Amir. I use the full qualified domain name from taking the server one and use the username and password, but not connected.
So, well, it's basic connectivity. So did you give exactly the same spelling in the actual DC UI host when you went inside with F2 and you have to compare the spellings? Is it HSHAM E6i3 or maybe it is EXSI3? So if it is different, it's not going to work.
I took from the server one a record.
No, but the name has to be same for on the host as well. When you give the name on the host, so otherwise it's not compulsory. This E6i3 we just need it for today. So you can also put its IP 192.168.250.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm moving it to Tor cluster and press OK. Did I press OK? Is it moving? There's nothing in the recent task it's showing. So I'll just try it again. I'll select the E6i3. Right click on top. Oh, okay. So move host says put all of this host's virtual machines in the cluster's root resource pool. Resource pools currently present on the host will be deleted. Yes, it's okay. Whenever it says, when you're adding a host and it says, hey, if you have created a resource pool, it will delete those. So it's okay because DRS will take care of your machines. So I'm just going to press O and K. And this host's CPU hardware should support the cluster's current enhanced vMotion compatibility mode, but some of the necessary CPU features are missing from the host. Oh, okay. So I'm just going to it's just saying that the CPU features are missing, and I think SAF had resolved that for the enhanced vMotion. So I'm just going to select in processor virtual CPU performance and virtual IO memory as well. I'll select these two. For that I need to shut it down and then select these two in the processor and then come back and try to add it in the cluster, because it's not adding now in the cluster and saying that some of the features of the CPU are missing in this hypervisor while it's the same CPU underlying, and it could come up with that error anytime. So I'm just going to shut down this host. I didn't have to do that before in the vSAN, but now it's asking. So the EVC is enabled, that's why enhanced vMotion compatibility is enabled. Although for other hypervisors I didn't have to select all the features of the hosts. I'm going to go to the edit virtual machine. What am I doing? I need to click the processors, and there's a virtual CPU and virtual IO memory management unit. I'm going to press OK. So I've just selected all three features of the processor, right? So I went to edit virtual machine here. I went to processor. First one was selected. I selected the other two, hoping that this would let the host go to the vCenter Tor cluster. It was added to vCenter, but when I'm adding to the cluster, it's saying that enhanced vMotion compatibility, or EVC, is giving an issue. Otherwise, if it still doesn't add, then I'm going to have to shut the EVC. I'll have to disable it. And when we talk about prerequisites of vSAN, one of the prereqs here actually, that was for HA actually, that you have to turn off EVC and then install HA and then come back. It's not okay. It just says that in order to enable vSAN, we need to disable the Vsphere HA temporarily. So we have to disable not only EVC, but also we have to disable the full HA temporarily to enable vSAN, to install the vSAN feature. Well, that's one of the prerequisites. We haven't reached there yet. We still have to add E6i3 successfully into the cluster. Okay, the E6i3 is back up with those three processor configurations, the three checkbox there. Well, two I selected, so I'm just gonna try to go back here to the cluster and making the screen bigger, and I want to add this E6i3 to the cluster now. If I select the E6i3 and go to summary, so I just restarted it, so it hasn't discovered it yet. Let me refresh that, and it should, vCenter should communicate with the E6i3. Refresh again. One day, Monday or Sunday, it's gonna discover that. Yes, it has discovered it now. The error is gone. Now I will try to move this E6i3 to the cluster again. So I'm just gonna right click on top of that. Safe says I think the other hosts may need to be online to add the third one. Well, I'll try that too, but right now I didn't have to do that before, but yes, so I'm just moving it. And refreshing it. So, oh, did I actually move it? I think right click, move to, expand, Tor DC, Tor cluster, and let's see if it still says, oh, okay. The whole CPU hardware should support the cluster's current enhanced vMotion compatibility mode, but some of the necessary CPU features are missing from the host. Check the host BIOS configuration to ensure. So that checking everything did not work as well. And so this means that I will tell the EVC, hey, enhanced vMotion compatibility, I'm shutting you down for now, so I could actually enable it. So in production environment, obviously you should have those processors from the hardware compatibility list. When you're purchasing the server, make sure that it is vSAN compatible processors that you have. Here obviously we have home machines here. Yep.
Basically I need to again log in the vCenter, then I just successfully edit the host. Then I need to what I need to do to add under the cluster.
So you just have to right click on the host on the ESXi3 and go to move to.
No, I just add the EXXi3 under the Tor DC. After that,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
After that, you have to
Then
move it to the cluster, Tor cluster.
Okay. Tor cluster. The host. Same way under the Tor cluster, or just select the EXXi3 and move to cluster.
Move to cluster. Either drag it like this or move to.
Okay.
So I tried to drag it and it's still saying CPU hardware. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the Tor cluster and I'm gonna shut down the EVC for now because I really need to do the vSAN lab. So I'm gonna click the Tor cluster because it's continuously giving me the EVC error because EVC is powered on, right? It's turned on. So if you don't get that error EVC, go ahead and just add it and don't turn off EVC. If you get this error that, oh no, your processor is not good. So I'm gonna go to Tor cluster here. Why? I need to turn off EVC. So Tor cluster here and configure. Then we go down to there's a VMware EVC here. Edit. And so the EVC is enabled. I'm just going to disable it now. What EVC does is it fools the vMotion into thinking that all processors are, if there are incompatibilities in the processors, it just fools the vMotion into thinking that no, there are no incompatibilities, they are exactly the same. Go ahead and vMotion. I'm disabling that and pressing OK. Right? And I'll check it out now if I can just add it. Otherwise, yes, I will just, if that doesn't work, then I'll have to add the start the other two hosts. Although it used to just simply move inside and another host, I would start at the last. But let's see now. EVC is not there, so I'm just going to I've clicked the right click and move to, and then I'm going to Tor DC, then Tor cluster. I'm selecting the Tor cluster again and pressing O and K. And it's still saying EVC mode. It didn't detect that successfully. I'm just going to refresh the whole screen. Okay, so I have refreshed it, and what I can do is I can sign out, sign in as well. So it could detect that it could believe me that I already have turned off the EVC. It still thinks that no, EVC is on, while I just turn it off, right? So I'm just gonna right click again and move to, oh man, Tor cluster, okay. And let's see if it thinks that EVC is closed. Okay, now it again says, well, it's not the error, it's just the message that resource pool will be gone. I say yes. I didn't create a resource pool anyway, so I'm not worried. I'm gonna press OK. And now it's inside. Yay! Woohoo! Yay! Or yay. While it is being added, and hopefully it does not put any other errors now. So I'll just make sure it is added. It's on 6% now, and hopefully it is added. %, 55. So normally HA is putting its agent. Tor cluster is gathering information. Okay.
So I mean, so do we have final exam next week or how's come?
Oh, what week is this? This is 14th, right?
Yeah, it's 14.
Is it 14th week, guys?
So today is 14. Yeah, for December 14, but I don't know about the weeks.
So it's week 13. This means we still have 2 more weeks. So exam is on 15th week, so the week after next week.
Oh, it's nice.
Cool. All right, so let's go ahead and so there's the A6i3 is fully added to the Tor cluster. Whew. Okay, now I'm gonna start the other 2 hypervisors, and hopefully my machine does not freeze or my machine does not have a blue screen of death. So A6i1 is started. I'm gonna go to A6i2 and power on. Ready? So, and what we're doing now in terms of the diagram here, so, well, the A6i1 and 2 already have 66 GB RAM, already have the 2 disks there. A6i3 was created, it was added to the vCenter and then to the cluster, and it was given 3 NICs total and 2 disks as well and 6 GB RAM. So this all configuration has been done, and hopefully it's because of the limitation of the RAM and actually over commitment of RAM, hopefully it does not mind that. Hopefully it does not give me a BSOD, which is blue screen of death. Hopefully it does not crash the environment, and it hasn't been crashing that before. It has been working fine with overcommitment as well before, so that's why I go for this stunt. And A6i2 is still starting, A6i1 is still starting as well. So when they are fully started, the next steps are that we need to turn on the vSAN, and in order to turn it on, we also need to turn off the HA temporarily, right? So HA has to be high availability has to be turned off temporarily for vSAN, and then once vSAN is fully configured, then HA has to be can be configured then. So, but I will show the error first. When we are configuring the vSAN without turning off HA, we're gonna try to turn on the vSAN, and then it will say, "Oh, what are you doing? HA is there. Turn it off, and then I will be configured." Okay, so A6i1 is fully started, and A6i2 is also started, and A6i3 was already started. So all 3 are started, and all we need to do is for the vCenter to detect the other 2 have also waken up. So I'm gonna just make the full screen here, and okay, so they haven't detected, Tor cluster haven't detected that A6i1 and 2 are also working. So I'm just gonna refresh that, and okay, I'm gonna refresh that, and now it should be okay. Oh, Xiang has a very critical point here. That did we reach all the configurations? Did we do all the prerequisites? So that was a very good point, Xiang. You deserve plus 10 for that. That's the temperature, not the marks. But yes, that's a very good point. I almost forgot to turn on the hypervisors. So I almost forgot to turn on the hypervisor. Did I say hyper? No, I configure the VM kernel ports. So there is some fresh screenshot from Acham about this error. So Acham, you can just go to the A6i3 and go to the summary and then check what's wrong here. Otherwise it should be O and K. So So guys, if I go and check the slide, so what we have done is till here. So we have done all this, right? So we need to go for add VM kernel port to all 3 ESXi hosts, and then two new disks, that is already done. So all that is remaining is add VM kernel port to all 3 ESXi hosts, right? So we need to do that. And so yeah, EXSI3. Okay, so
But Amir, I use the IP address. Is it any issue? I already
no, it's not an issue.
typing
IP
mistake
address is okay.
because I use the IP address, so it would not be the issue.
No,
So what can be
it
the
is
other
okay.
issue?
IP address is okay, but you can see at Cham, it is EXSI you wrote there, while in A record you wrote ESX. So that was a mistake. But anyway, if you use IP address, that is okay.
Yes.
So in that case, why there is a other
No, it
error is
depends on
there?
what is the error. So if you click on, go ahead and click that hypervisor, and then click the summary view. On the other side, click summary, and then read that error. Sometimes it is harmless, sometimes yes, it won't let you go ahead, so no idea. Okay, we got half an hour left, so I think you will have to wait for the video to upload and take my screenshots. Okay, so add VM kernel port to all 3 ESXi hosts with separate IP addresses. Now we're gonna add VM kernel ports now. So I'll just go to the ESXi1 here, the first one. I'm gonna select that. Why? Because I'm about to add a VM kernel adapter that's going to let the vSAN be configured on this hypervisor, and then the next one, and the next one. So we're gonna separate 3 different IP addresses for that. So ESXi1, I've selected that, and I'm gonna go for configure, and then I'm gonna go for the VM kernel adapters, which is Z's. So ESXi1 configure VM kernel adapters. And then so we can try to configure everything to best of the ability, but obviously when we are configuring vSAN, there is a lot of configuration there as well in vSAN. Like when we suppose we are successfully able to even configure it, even then there's a lot of explanation to do. So that's why whatever we can do till 10 o'clock, we're going to do that, and we're going to continue the vSAN in next lab as well to finish it. So VMK0 is already added there as by default. We all know that VMK1 was for vMotion, VM kernel adapter 2 was for fault tolerance. Now we are adding a third VM kernel adapter that is for vSAN. Also, you can see that for vMotion 10 and 11 were the IP addresses for ESXi1 and ESXi2. For fault tolerance 12 and 13 were the IP addresses for fault tolerance. So for this VM kernel adapter, if I go to the diagram, so we can give IP addresses 14, 15 for the VM kernel adapter, and 16. So 14, 15, 16 is the IP addresses we're going to give one by one when we're adding VM kernel adapters. Okay, so I'm going to go for I'm already on first one, configure and VM kernel adapter. I'm just going to add here. I'm going to click here, the globe sign, and add host networking, and I'm going to click on top of that and VM kernel adapter. So I'm going to select that and click next. So according to the vendor best practices, new standard switch I'm going to select, although technically I can configure it on an existing switch as well, which may already have maybe vMotion configured, which may already have fault tolerance configured. But since we have extra 2 network cards, so we're going to go for new standard switch for this vSAN feature, and click next. Then we're going to go for the plus sign, assign adapters, And yes, there are 2 network adapters showing here, so actually 3, and total we have okay, so these are this is E6i1, right? So whatever next 2 adapters are there, I'm just going to select those and press OK. If you click next, we need to name it, right? So vSAN is the name, and if we go down here, then vSAN is what we're selecting here as well, right? vSAN and vSAN, right? And click next. So here I'm going to give the IP14, right? So IPv4 and 192.168.200.14 and tab 255.255.255.0. So 192.168.200.14 and 255.255.0. So I'm going to click next. That's it. So we needed to give a static IP for VM kernel adapter for vSAN on E6i1. I'm going to do it the same thing for E6i2 and 3, right? Well, that channel says no gateway. It doesn't ask for a gateway. It says that, hey, you want to change a gateway, then override default gateway. So we don't want to change that 200.1, and it's just asking for if you want to override, you have to select that and then give a gateway. Otherwise, no. If it's a default gateway, it's going to take that automatically, because we cannot select it. But if you want to select this, then we can select it, and it's going to say that, oh, you want to change the gateway, then you select it only. So we don't want to change the gateway, so it's going to take the same. Okay, so I'm going to click next here, and okay, and finito. So the VM kernel adapter is added here. I'm going to go for the second host, and I'll just do the same thing here with the IP address 15. So I'm going to click that add host networking for the second hypervisor, VM kernel network adapter, next, new standard switch, next, plus sign here, five, 6. So once you click next, so once we have selected vSAN and vSAN here, I'm going to click next. And 192.168.200.15. So that's the next available IP 255, or that's it. So 200.15 here, right? Okay, so Russia says, will we be working on distributed switches? Yes, distributed switches we will be doing. So next, and finish. So then we're going to go for the third one and go ahead and check it out as well. So here, obviously, vMotion and FT is not configured. It's a totally newly added hypervisor. We don't need that for the vSAN lab, so I'm just going to go ahead and click add host. Adapter, next, new standard switch here as well. We know the drill now. Next, get the 2 adapters, Vmware 1, 2, and press OK. Next, vSAN, next, 192.168.200.16, 14, 15, 16, 255, 255, 2550. And next. And finish.
Amir, sorry, those IP is new or it belong to the ESI?
No, they are new.
They are new, okay, thank you.
Okay, so once these are added, I'm just going to go back here to the slide and check that. Okay, so this add VM kernel port is done, add 2 new disks was already done. So the next step remaining is, let's enable the vSAN. In order to enable vSAN, we need to disable the vSphere HA temporarily, and once vSAN is fully configured, then enable vSphere HA again. So that also is mentioned here. So I'm going to go ahead and well, it does say that turn off HA temporarily, so I'm just going to go to Tor cluster, because HA is configured there, right? So Tor cluster and configure. Tor cluster and configure. I'm going to go to HA. So vSphere availability here, I'm going to select that and click edit, because it is saying it's turned on, right? I'm going to click edit. Alright, so I'm just gonna uncheck this and uncheck this temporarily. It is really important for the very important for the environment. Obviously we cannot keep it turned off, but temporarily we're just gonna do that. So I'm just gonna press OK after turning off the HA both options and press O and K. It says, whoa, are you kidding me? It's also saying that fault tolerance will also not work, because fault tolerance requires HA. That's why it's so important as well. I'm going to press yes for now. Hey, so obviously when you're deploying vSAN, you will do it on weekends, and you will ask for a downtime that all this will be down. Okay, so HA has been disabled as well temporarily. I'm going to right click on this to enable the what? The vSAN. Yay! Oh, okay, right click here, Tor cluster, and now we go down to, oh, okay, why am I right clicking and why am I going down here? There is no vSAN here. Oh, okay, so select the Tor cluster and stay on the configure, because vSAN is right under vSphere availability. So there's a vSAN written there, and there's a general written there, general, right? So when we click the general here, so yes, general, so there's vSAN is turned off. So now we're gonna turn on the vSAN. So I'm just gonna go to the vSAN area here and click the configure, and we're gonna turn on the vSAN configuration. Okay, so that is some of the configurations are there. So deduplication and compression, encryption. So just like any other storage solution, it offers the deduplication option, the compression option, the encryption. As far as the compression and encryption are concerned, these are easy to understand. Compression just saves you space by compressing the data. Encryption just encrypts the data, so it's unreadable for security purposes. What is deduplication then? Deduplication is that if there is, suppose you have a file and you made a duplicate of that and saved it somewhere else, and then you forgot that you actually had a copy of that, and you made a copy again later after 6 weeks, maybe you made 2 more copies, and the file was big as well. Suppose 200 GB file, but you thought, oh, it is important, maybe I don't have a copy, and you made another copy on the disk. Deduplication, it goes for all exactly the same copies. Suppose there were 3 copies of a file, exactly the same. So deduplication deletes the other 2 copies and put a shortcut there and just keeps one copy there while deleting the other two copies, saving all the disk space that was being covered by the other two copies, right? So deduplication just makes sure that there are no two exactly the same files just occupying your disk space for no reason, and deletes one of them, puts a shortcut in place of that. So if anyone selects that shortcut, then it will just take it to the original copy. So it keeps a one copy of any file, deduplication. So you can enable that deduplication, you can enable the encryption, but then there are some more bigger or longer details here that configure two host vSAN cluster, configure stretched cluster, configure fault domains, right? So there are these two there. So these configurations are there, and okay, I'll try to go through some of those, but I think it's gonna be we'll have to stop here then. We can click next, and the vSAN should be configured, but obviously we need to understand everything, right? What's going on, and why is this feature, why is that feature. So whatever we can do in next 18 minutes, so we'll just go ahead and we can just leave that cluster configuration for, or the vSAN configuration final steps for the next class, because we have to understand all that, right? So if we talk about the stretched configure two host vSAN cluster, so there is that two hosts at one site, one branch, right, and a witness host at another site. Witness host contains only metadata and does not participate in storage operations. The witness host cannot be used to run VMs. So what are they talking about? They're just saying that you can have two hosts, right? So you can have two hosts in one site. So suppose there are two vSAN hosts, vSAN on two hosts, right? If you have that in one branch here, Toronto branch here, right? So you have another branch maybe in London, Ontario. So that, or maybe in Toronto. So this would be the witness, and these would be the two hosts with vSAN configured. So we did know that, we know till now that vSAN is configured on three hosts, right? But you can also have it two hosts, but essentially they are still three hosts, but one would be witness. And whenever you hear the word witness, always remember that witness's job is to let the host fail over. If vSAN was configured there and one host, if there is any kind of failing over required, then witness will try to put that there. But this is also saying vSAN cluster, two host vSAN cluster. So two hosts, how can you have two hosts? Because local disk of one, or maybe 20 local disks of one, 20 local disks of other, is creating the whole data store on top of that, right? Suppose there are 20 disks here, 20 disks here, and you create a big data store on top of that. So if one host goes down, because of the witness host, the other one host will remain up, and the data store will remain up, and it will let you just turn on that one host, or configure whatever you want. But this third host should be available to tell that, hey, other host, you're the only one, so keep the show running while the other host is still trying to it's being repaired right now, right? The other host is still being repaired. So the thing is, you want to have two host cluster, then you should go for this configuration, and it is supported. Then there is configure stretch cluster, two active data sites. Sites means branches, right? Each with an even number of hosts and storage devices, and a witness host at a third site. Witness host contains only metadata and does not participate in storage operations. The witness host cannot be used to run VMs. So again, a much larger setup. So you have one host here, you have one branch here actually. So this is suppose Toronto, and this is maybe Mississauga, and this is like Milton. So you have 3 branches there, and so you have stretched cluster now. So stretched cluster is you have a set of hosts here where the vSAN is created, and you have a set of hosts here as well where the vSAN is created here. So, and this one is a witness branch. So this branch is just checking that, okay, which one is working. Both are up and they are synchronizing as well. And if one whole site is out, there's an outage there, so the other site can wake up and it will become the active site. So it's on large scale. If you have multiple sites there, then it's saying that it's a 3-site setup where it's gonna keep an eye on for another site if that site has an outage or not. If not, then it will tell the other one, hey, you're it now, all the connections are coming to you now, so keep the virtual machines up on that vSAN data store. So then there is fault domain as well. So that fault domain is nobody's fault. Well, actually, so this is the diagram for that, right? See, so easy. Oh, okay. So here, what happens is, what is fault domain? So this is FD or fault domain number 1. This is FD or fault domain number 2. Okay, what is it? So you see that there's a rack here, and there are 3 servers here, HP servers, right? Or Dell servers or IBM servers. So they're in the rack. Now suppose, and then there's another rack and 3 servers here as well. But suppose this rack and this rack, they both have one single UPS or uninterrupted power supply, or one single power source and one single switch. So why I'm saying single? Because this means they have a SPOF. Anyone knows what's a SPOF? Ever heard of Mr. SPOF before? SPOF was my neighbor. He was a very good guy. We used to play tennis. Okay. Point of failure, there you go. Single point of failure. So SPOF here, if this device goes down, the whole rack goes down. If this switch goes down, the whole rack goes down, right? So this means it's a single point of failure. Spock is from Star Trek, exactly. But SPOF is from maybe Trackstar. Okay, so anyway, so what happens is that you can consider this one rack as fault domain 1, and you can consider this rack as fault domain 2. So basically, if you configure it, so when you're creating a virtual machine on fault domain 1, its copy also gets created in fault domain 2. So virtual machine created in fault domain 1, which is this rack with a SPOF, and its copy gets created on the other fault domain, which also has a SPOF, right? But obviously at one time we're expecting one single point of failure happening. If 2 happens, then good luck. Hopefully you have backups as well. But what happens is, now you can get the idea that why the machine's partner copies here. If there's because of single point of failure, the whole rack goes down, then its passive copy can be accessed by the end users, right? So that's why if you have fault domain configured and it's a hardware SPOF, then the virtual machine will have its copies there, and if because of SPOF disaster does happen, you still are safe because there's a copy there on the other fault domain, which also has its own SPOF, right? So this is just, it keeps a copy on another set of fault domain as well, which should be having its own separate source of power or switch. So that's fault domain. And if we go ahead, so we're not going to configure any of those. We're going to click do not configure. Then I'm going to go ahead with next, right? And it says there, oh, vSAN kernel adapters, yes, everything is okay there. So there's a green, and there's a green here, which is good. Then we click next again. Now this is the most important area here for the vSAN because vSAN better detect all the local disks of the 3 hypervisors, right? So what is a disk group? Where did you read that? Is it on this one? So, well, yeah, that's where we're coming now, right? Or did you read it before somewhere else? Disk group. Yeah, it's here, right? So what is a disk group? Disk group is a group of disks that it needs to detect, right? So suppose if we go for the diagram here, so we said there's a one disk here, minimum one disk there. We just can go for minimum in our trial environment. Otherwise, it's a group of disks that you can have here. You can have 5 groups of disks here. So and each can have maximum of 7 disks. So if you have suppose first group here and 7 disks inside, second group of disks here, 7 disks, right? So you can have maximum of 35 disks there, right? So we just went for one minimum one, but you can have group of disks and each group can have 7. So this one disk can represent one group and this other disk can represent the other group. But other than that, you can have 3 more of these, and it could have 7 disks. So total you can have 35 disks per host. So that is disk groups, right? Okay, what do we need to do here? So guys, first of all, there's a disk model / size here, right? So we can go down to, instead of disk model size, go down to host. So let's click the host here. So this means now if all the communication is okay, all 3 hosts should be showing. But even more important is this. First you go to host and then you expand. You must see 2 disks under each host. If you don't see, sometimes it happens that the host is there but the 2 disks are not showing. Then you have to restart that host and then come back here, cancel it out, and then come back to this page again. Now all hosts should be showing, well, whatever raw disks we place there. Suppose you had 35 disks per host, so 35 disks will be showing for each host because they are raw unused disks, right? So it will detect all the unused disks there automatically in all 3 hosts. So it is detecting that. Now that's one thing. Second thing, remember that I told you that one has to be HDD, one has to be SSD. So whenever you see flash written, this means it is detecting it as SSD. Flash is SSD, right? So I'm going to select this line here, right? Or select this line here as well. So once you select the line, there is supposed to be a button here that should say HDD or flash, right? But it's not appearing there. The button is not appearing there. If I select here, the button should appear here, but it's a green button, right? Maybe on your side, those who are doing that, you might be seeing that. I'm just going to click back, and then I'm going to go next, and select that. Okay, it's not actually showing the buttons. I'm just going to have to cancel out and start over again, because without those buttons, we cannot really do anything with those. Those buttons have to be there, right? So I'm just going to cancel out from here, and then I'll right click, not right click again. I'm going to click the general. I'm going to click the configure. Again, if you see those green buttons, one green button there, then you don't have to do that, but I don't see that, so I'm just going to do this again. I'm going to refresh this. And I'll click configure. And nothing on this page, and next. Nothing on this page, vSAN, next. And then I'm going to go again to host, group by host, right? And oh yeah, now I see those buttons, F and HDD. So I'll expand again. Now I'm going to click on the flash disk. One of the disk can be flash or SSD, other has to be HDD. So in ESXi2, under that, I'm going to select first disk here, and I'm going to click HDD. Why? Because it needs to, vSAN by design needs to have one HDD, one SSD minimum, right? So I'm going to go to the ESXi1 here, and I'm going to select the first line. I'm going to do the same thing here as well, telling the vSAN, hey vSAN, don't worry, we have one HDD and one SSD, don't worry about that, we are fulfilling your requirements. So HDD here as well, they have provided that button, right? And select on the third host the first line, and I'm going to go up to HDD here. So that's by design, that's what vSAN wants us to show, and we're showing it, and VMware has provided those buttons as well. And not only that, you also have to show, you have to claim these disks. vSAN has to claim these disks. So how does it claim? I'm going to click on top of this area. See this? If I click, it says, hey, your HDD, will it be used for capacity, which means saving data, or will it be used for cache? So I'm going to show you the cache as well, but right now we just have to click capacity tier here for the HDD. When we go to the flash, we have to click the do not claim again. Why? Now it says, oh, you want to use it for cache? You want to cache the data on the faster disk so that data can be frequently used and fast. It could be retrieved fast. So yes, we will say yes, although it can be used for capacity as well, but cached here just means that if you have any frequently used data, vSAN will put it on the flash faster disk, so you can retrieve it faster. If you have some data that you don't use or infrequently used data, you put it on capacity tier or the slower side of the disk. So frequently accessed data on the faster side of the disk, infrequently accessed data on the slower side of the disk. It's going to do that, right? So we're going to claim the other disks as well. This means I'm going to go to the ESXi1 level now, because before it was the other one. So the next hypervisor on HDD, I'm going to tell, hey vSAN, treat my slow disk as capacity tier, just save data here, and treat my fast disk as cache tier. So frequently used data, please put it here, thank you very much. Then I'm going to go to the third hypervisor as well, and I'm going to claim that, hey vSAN, treat my slow disk as capacity, just save data there, and treat my fast disk as cache tier, save that data that is frequently being used, right? As soon as you do all that, under the configuration validation, it's going to give you green sign. Now we're okay. So the vSAN prerequisites have been met here, right? Not only that it detected all the disks, then we told it, yes, one of them is HDD and one is SSD, and then how to use HDD, use it as capacity tier, how to use SSD, use it as a cache tier, right? And the purpose of capacity is to save data that may not be used for a while. Cache tier, frequently accessed data, will be placed here on the faster disk. Okay, so that's good news. Configuration correct. It's green now, right? Then I'm going to go next here, and well, that's the step finale, and we have to click finish now, right? So it's gonna take a little longer time for it to configure it. So I'm just gonna click finish now, and where it simply configures the whole vSAN on the local unused disks of 3 hypervisors. So it's going to create a full vSAN data store now on the unused disks of 3 hypervisors. So that takes like 1 or 2 minutes, and then it gets configured. So this channel shows a picture here. Okay, if the button is not showing this channel, then cancel it and then go again and click the edit button or configure button and start this wizard again. If it still doesn't show, oh yeah, you're on the host, so expand all that. but cancel out and just refresh the vCenter and then start again the vSAN. Otherwise, look from the video how I configured. So guys, this is very important for the job, right? They're going to really ask a lot of questions. So whatever we could do with the, the labs are big. I could have gone for a lot of theory, but what's the benefit of theory? It's all practical field. So long labs are there. Whatever labs I will send you the video of any extra labs there, but I have gone for the critical labs that is good for your job and for your exam as well. So there are 2 weeks left there. Last week we can still do a lab, and I can give you some other day of the last week as the final exam, right? This way we can cover one lab is 7.0. I need to show you in how to install that, and the other one whatever smaller labs are, I'm going to show you that. So it seems like the Tor cluster is done because it's recent tasks showing here. And if I go, so how do we know that the vSAN data store is created? We're expecting a vSAN data store. So if I go to the storage area here, right, make sure that everything here is done, no movement is going on here. Then we can go to this gray cylinder. We can go to the gray cylinder, and yes, there is a vSAN data store. This is the vSAN data store. If you click on top of the vSAN data store, then which hosts it is connected to, right? So select the vSAN data store and click the hosts on the right side, and you should see all 3 hosts here. Yes, like this. So this is your screenshot that vSAN configured. Take a screenshot here, guys. vSAN configured and upload. And okay, so take a screenshot here. vSAN configured. If you haven't done it on your side, take a screenshot of my screen and put your name on any side of the screen here, right? Take a screenshot here. If you have done on your side, then take that screenshot. Otherwise, take the screenshot of my configured screen. Those who are not done, you can follow the video, or just wait for it to upload and then follow the video and upload it, right? Okay. Yep.
So I little bit behind due to my problem, So you basically add configure the vSAN for the 3 hypervisor. Then you just deactivate the HA for the time being. Then you got configure under the cluster.
Right? Yes.
Am I right? This. Okay.
But do configure it after the video is released, because this is good for the job environment, right? Once you do it yourself, then the confidence will be there.
Can I do waiting for the video upload after 30 minutes, or just the last picture I use your picture?
Yeah, here you can give me a picture, but for the job, guys, I would suggest that everyone should do this at home as well. Here you can just take my picture as well, my screen picture, and put your name there. Yeah. Cool. So I'll take a sample picture of that. So vSAN configured is this picture. I'll put it there. And that will be screenshot 3. And vSAN configured. And screenshot 3, vSAN configured. Okay guys, upload to the Blackboard, which is where I did not create that folder yet. Yeah, so upload it there where I haven't created a folder, which means please wait, let me create a folder.
So Amir,
Yep.
So Amir, if we do have only 16 gigabyte, so how we can use this lab on our
Yeah,
computer?
so this one is not possible on 16 gigabyte. Those who have 16 gigabyte can just take the screenshot of my screen and put their name on the screenshot. Okay. So it's week 13, guys. Let me just quickly agree and 8, and then see you in next class.
Ahmed, I just got a message from Mahi and Dipshika. They could not attend today, so they will upload the pictures after they see the video later.
Yeah, sure. Okay? Just tell them that 5 marks are cut already. Don't worry.
Okay.
No, it's okay. No problem. Oh, did I not create just now a week 13? Oh, yeah, this one. So I'll just drag it up. Come on. Guys, wait, I haven't created the assignment. Oh yeah, it's not there anyway. And I think I did not made it shown here. No, permit users to view this content. Okay, I did show. So I'll just create that upload. Okay, please upload week 13. Control C. Okay. Alright guys, so refresh that and value must be provided. Points possible. Oh, forgot that. And refresh that week 13 and upload your screenshots and see you next week. Yay! Or yay. Okay, I'll stop the video now.